Setting up already, we're having technical difficulties. Already we're just trying out, my internet's acting up and he's trying his hotspot. We're gonna see how this goes, but Rebecca is here waiting patiently. And yeah, and I don't think I've even said hi to Joshua. I just got into director mode the minute he walked in and was like, put this here, da da da, we gotta go, da da da, and I had to still get ready. But hi Joshua, how are you?
Wonderful.
No, we're nice. Okay, so we're still setting up a little bit. It'll be a minute, just to double check on our internet connectivity and all of that. But this is behind the scenes. We never know what's gonna happen until it happens. That's what happens. Okay. So I think I'm gonna use my laptop this time. I'll have this. And Rebecca, entertain the audience. I'll go get water. Okay.
I don't know how to entertain an audience.
I need water.
Tell them a story.
What happened this morning? What happened this morning?
I mean, I got up early, which I hate doing. I'm not a morning person. And so my husband's there playing video games, waiting for me to get up. And then I finally get up because my rabbit starts chewing on the couch because he wants attention.
She has a rabbit.
So I had to get him to stop chewing on the couch.
We got fake coffee ready. We got nice water in our cups. Okay, so I learned something, and this is crazy. I am a straw person. I don't know if you guys are, but like I have to have like a straw in my drink. I ask for a straw all the time. Well, last night I came across this lady who's just talking about like she's talking about her makeup routine and stuff like that, and what she does, and then she got a cup and she sipped, and then she said, I know, I shouldn't be using the straw because it's going to give me more wrinkles on my lips. So she just casually said that. And then I automatically thought, well, wait a minute, like, smokers, have the lots of wrinkles around their mouth. And then I thought of that and I was mortified. I gave up drinking from a straw yesterday. That's my story. No more straws. I'm going to try being strawless. Strawless, yes. Because I'm like, that's something that I definitely don't want wrinkles around my lips. But I'm so used to, because in cups in restaurants, you're kind of like I'm germophobic. I think about that. I think like, who is drinking from this cup? So, do you ever think about that?
Really?
Okay.
I'm aware of it, but I get over it, I guess.
Rebecca's the chill where I end up. Okay. What else? I need to make sure I've got tissue. Anything else? Do you need anything else, Rebecca?
No, I got my notes. I got a cup of water.
Okay, and then Joshua, just let us know, regarding Facebook if we're gonna, once we are able to go live.
We'll be ready in just a minute.
And do you think your hotspot would be better?
So it may be. It may be about the same. It's hard. I mean, I bet it's better. I'm trying one other thing with the settings in here to see if we can get it to stream right. All right, so whenever you are talking to the microphone, you want to talk directly Right there, you can adjust this around.
But
That way-
side's just the front.
Yeah, so you're talking right here. The goal is within 6 inches of the microphone.
Probably close.
Hurry.
Let's just make sure you sound good.
Okay, test the scent.
We're ready to go live.
Okay. Okay. And we're doing it on your hotspot.
We're not. I got it working on your internet
Yay!
between resetting it and then resetting the settings in here to it.
Awesome. Okay.
It's ready to roll.
Let's go live. Right now. We're good. Let's do live. And then we'll test the mics and do all the. Give me a 1, 2, 3. We're about to go live on Facebook. This is YouTube and hi. We are here. Unmatched episode on its way. We've got Rebecca on the couch. I'm about to test the mics. We're still kind of getting settled, but oh boy, here we go. We're going to have fun. We're going to squeeze in between these 2 mics. Oh, guide me. Okay. Hi. Oh no, my laptop. Okay, hold on. Let me see. All right. I promise you're not going to be on your lap. Okay. I'm going to get it adjusted. Yes. I know that about you.
Worried about it.
I know about your lack of not needing personal space. Okay. Hang on. I'm going to set this, and then I know we got to test the microphone. Okay, my skirt got all twisted up. Okay, this is the part where it's going to get funny. Okay, there we go. Okay, now. Okay. Okay. This is, oh no. It's on my shoe. Okay, here. Is this
Within
okay?
6 inches is your goal.
It's my goal. Within 6 inches. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, this is good. Okay.
And you want to test this one too? Is that one going good? Or do we need closer?
A little closer.
Hold me a little.
Is that a little better? Being a little bit closer there.
Oh, I know what to do. Give me this pillow. I am going to put the laptop on the pillow instead.
If you'll just keep talking for just a minute.
Testando o microfone na casa da Gia.
Un día a la vez, mi Cristo.
Make sure it works.
Oh my gosh, I forgot the lyrics in Spanish. Okay, so do you know that one, Dia la vez? Okay, you sing it in Portuguese. Is that
I
Portuguese?
don't know it. Like,
Just that.
I know the
know
song.
one line.
Yeah, I know the song
We could do one
that
line.
you're talking about. I do not have it memorized. I could pull it up.
We can do one. No, we can do one line. Oh, by the way, silence your cell phone. Because
Yeah,
that is
I
my. You'll
I
see
silenced
darts
it.
coming out of my eyeballs. Okay, ready? Un día a la vez, mi Cristo. That's it. It sounds pretty though. It sounds like we know how to sing and we know the song. And that's good enough.
Like, I know which song you were talking about. I've sung it before.
Josh, I'm going to ask you for a huge favor.
Sure, what do you need? That's what I'm here for.
Ottoman? Yeah, that ottoman, if you can switch it for this guy, this little plastic pretend table. Because I changed my mind. I think I'm going to stick my foot out. And then I have my laptop. Ooh. Okay. Hang on. It's better, but not.
Jill's attacking me.
down. And then if I lose circulation on this leg,
Just stretch it out too.
I'll switch off. Okay. Get up. Okay.
Are the microphones both good?
Are we good with the mics?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Are we good with the mics, sir? Are we good with the mics? Okay, I don't know if you guys know, that was my YouTube live. The Facebook live people did not hear about me giving up my straw addiction. So I think that's very important that I'm going to advocate for that. For all women everywhere, give up straws because your lips. Bottom line. I'm going to have to get over that germ thing, and also lipstick. I'm going to have to get better, like lipstick that doesn't, that stays longer or something.
You can use Synergens where you use makeup every day or lipstick. As long as you use it every day, it's actually pretty decent.
What is it?
Synergens.
I've never heard of that.
It's a good brand. It is a little bit pricier, but it does stay all day long. If you have a regular usage, it stays really well.
Oh, okay.
Bring this in just a little closer to you. You're very quiet.
She's so soft-spoken.
I'm not a very loud person.
Oh.
Yeah, that's definitely where Synergens or something like that similar kind of thing is probably going to be better for what you need.
Okay.
That's just happens to be the one I know. I can text it to you.
Yes, because I'm always looking for the best red lipstick out there.
Oh yeah. There's you can layer different colors to have different stuff. It's cool.
I need red.
Yeah, you can do red. You can do just flat red.
I'm a red girl. Every time when we go get my nails done, they're like, "What color?" And if I go with someone, they're like, "Do you want to try this color or this?" They want to talk.
I know what color I like.
No. I smile and they think it's gonna happen. I'm like, no, it's gonna be red. It's gonna be red.
Red is a nice one. It's bold and it's out there. It's good.
It's my color, my personality.
And it's a standard color too. It's not out there as colors go, but it looks really good.
Standard.
Well, no, the lipstick
I'm not
color.
basic. Yeah, I gotcha. It will always
It'll go with everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Your microphone just keeps on not picking you up very well. Just making sure that cable is.
Ooh.
You can tell my sister and brother-in-law that I am this soft-spoken that the microphone cannot hear me.
The microphone cannot even pick her up. She's literally eating the microphone, and it's not picking her up. Speak up, Rebecca! For the love. Oh, I am sweating. I didn't have the AC on, or I had it high or something.
See, and I even brought the hoodie knowing it was going to be cold here.
Yeah. It's going to be hot.
I knew I was going to be cold, so I brought a hoodie.
So I have it on 65 now because poor Joshua is going to be, so he's right by the window. Okay. I'll touch you. She's the only one that doesn't mind. I think every single friend that I have, when I want to, they freak out. I'm a touchy person. I love to touch people, and they freak out. Okay. Okay, our microphones are good. I feel like we need a swimming pool. I want to jump in a swimming pool. That's how hot I am. I'm just like, oh, I want to jump.
I'll jump in a swimming pool anytime.
Yes, yes.
Whether it's cold or hot.
I wonder if we could do a podcast in the swimming pool. Will we get electrocuted?
I think we can figure it out.
And then
Josh was like, he went.
We will use our room camera and microphone. It'll be okay.
We will use stuff that I don't care about, so you can destroy it. Okay. Man, I'm so glad you're here. Because after you got married, people ghost me when they get married. It takes a minute. It takes a minute before they come back for air. And so so she came back. She's back in the
realm of real
of
life.
the living, yeah. And she came up for air, and I'm like, oh, let's go have coffee. Yes, let's be on my podcast. Yes, oh, Rebecca's back in my life. Yay! Woo!
Try not ghosting people for no reason. No, like if somebody's not respecting boundaries, I have no issues with them being like, okay,
She's
we're
already
done.
in the thick of it. We haven't even started the episode. Wow.
I'm
Okay.
calm, but I'm
Well,
very
I
strict.
want to know your block list. I want to see, like every now and then, I even forget who I blocked, and I go in there to see. Oh, yeah, my list of. I mean, most people from like Saudi Arabia area, but there's a few that are like, oh, I remember. I no longer, there's no need. It's unnecessary for this person to be blocked. You're back. And, I just check in once a year, just in case someone's back in my good graces.
Every year for Festivus, I let everyone off my block list.
That Jubilee year, everybody's forgiven. You can come back. And then immediately someone will do you dirty.
Oh,
and you're like,
guaranteed.
This is why I blocked you to begin with. Oh my gosh. Lately it's these two, there's these two, I call them like piranhas or something, that have been swimming on my social media, and they have been like ugly for no reason. Just like random photo they pick, and I don't even know them. And so I'm like, please, like, okay, please don't make me block you. Like, it's been good. You've been good so far. And then, the last comment was like, this is so unnecessary. So, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that happens. People get courage online.
Oh, my coffee's so good. Oh, this morning I had, so Star came from Nashville, her and her husband, and they brought me a espresso machine. Espresso, like a Keurig, but espresso. Well, I hadn't used it. It's been a week or so. I hadn't tried it, and then I tried it today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a barista. It was so good. It was just like a brevet, like 2 shots of espresso. I heated up my half and half, and I really need one of those whippers.
Frother, the milk frother.
Not a whipper. A frother. Yeah, I need one of those. Yeah, if somebody could be so kind as to buy me a frother, I would love it. But so I was using a plastic fork, and I was like just whipping it, and then I pulled out the fork, and it was all melted. It was all there. So
No, whisk will do the same thing. It's just you have to do it manually instead of doing the button and it goes.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need a button, and it would be like. But anyway, if I can't get to it, I moved the mic. Is the mic okay? I punched it. Okay.
Don't be hitting it.
Oh, I did it again. I'm trying to get like hairs on my lip. So what did I do? I think that if I can't get to a coffee shop, like that's the second best thing. Like it just made my life like so good. Like just enjoying home with an espresso this morning was amazing. So I'm on 3 shots of espresso, just to warn you. Just a fair warning. I'm so glad you're here, Rebecca, and we'll get started. Are we, Josh? How are we doing? Okay.
We're good.
We're gonna start it. We're gonna pray, and then we'll get started. I'll say, welcome. So it'll be like after I pray, I'll give like a moment of silence, like 3 seconds of silence, and then I'll start welcome, and we'll get started. And then the way I end, I'm just gonna say this. Thank you, Rebecca, for being here. I'm Gio, and I'm unmatched, and that's we'll end like that. So the intro, and then the beginning, we're gonna pray. Okay. Okay, but the sound is okay. Everything's good. Okay. All right, let's pray. God, be with us, God. We want you to be glorified. We want you to be honored, and we want people to be pointed to you through this conversation, God. I think that the best thing that can result out of this conversation, Lord, is that people will be drawn to Jesus, that people will desire to walk with you, God. And I ask, Lord God, that you just step into the room, that you take a seat right here with us, God, that you bring things to remembrance for both Rebecca and I, that you bring things to remembrance, that this conversation will be edifying, God, that you will speak through us, that you will speak to us as we are talking, that Holy Spirit, you just bring things to remembrance. You just allow us to say what needs to be said and keep things from being remembered that don't need to be said. You lead this conversation. You guide this conversation. Help us to lead people to truth, God. I pray that you be both with Rebecca and I as we share from everything that you've done, just from our hearts and our minds and our soul, everything that you've done, our spirit, God, that you will quicken our spirit, that our spirit will speak forth, and that, God, you will be here. That even as we're talking, minds are getting healed and hearts are getting mended, people are getting restored and redeemed, that our words will have supernatural power, God, as they go forth to whoever has ears to hear, eyes to see. I pray, Lord God, that you will open up eyes. Anyone struggling with relationships, anyone that is struggling with loneliness, with the desire to be married, anyone struggling with lust, God, I pray that anyone with that unmatched journey, that they will be drawn like a magnet to this conversation, that they will be drawn here, and that they will be able to be edified, encouraged, motivated. I just pray for healing and restoration, God, as we speak. Be with us, God. Be with the technology, that everything work properly, God, that our voice carry into different countries, into different living rooms, different cars. God, you know what you can do for years to come with this conversation. So we ask that you use it, that it go to the ends of the earth, that our conversation go to the ends of the earth, God, and that it be powerful and supernatural. We speak for peace and joy to be in this room. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Thank you, God. Just going to need about 3 seconds so we can get started with that. Here in my mouth. Welcome to Unmatched episode, a new episode. I am here with Rebecca Hummel. Now, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, Hummel. Rebecca Hummel, and it's fitting because you're oh so humble, so it rhymes. Rebecca Hummel, and it's been a minute. It has been a minute since we've been behind the mic with Unmatched, and then definitely it's been a minute since Rebecca and I talked. So I really think this is going to be a juicy, fabulous conversation. It's going to be good. So, yes, and I love that. I love about when we get together, there's just so much to talk about. I want to first make sure, if this is your first time here, I want to make sure that our listeners know unmatched simply means unmarried. If you're not married and you're following Jesus and you're a believer in Christ, this place will be so encouraging. These conversations that we lay out here in every episode will be so edifying. If you take a listen, that is the point. We want to be helpful. If you're on that unmatched journey, you're not unloved, you're not unworthy, you are simply unmatched. And that's actually a very good thing. That's actually, you are one of a kind. And this is also for people in relationships. This is also for people who are married. You're going to find a lot of wisdom and truth and good stuff here. And I think that that is important for you to know. I don't want you to check out if you're married or you're in a relationship, which, by the way, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm not single, because they're dating or their girlfriend, boyfriend situation or situationship or whatever. They say that, but the reality is you are single until you're married. Okay, so you're unmatched. You are not you're not married, so you're unmatched. You're either matched or unmatched. Okay, that's the definition here that we are using. Here you'll find biblical truths. You'll find good information that I think will be encouraging, motivating, and helpful. And so we're going to get started with our guest, who is Rebecca. So Rebecca's a pretty awesome individual. I want to talk about how we met. And I want to give you a chance to talk about that, because you might have a different perspective, okay? I'm going to share my perspective with you when we first met. So we were in I had started a small worship, a Bible study time on Fridays in the oldest church in Joplin, in their little fellowship hall. And it was winter. It was cold. I remember all these details when I meet someone. And we had the lights off, and we had a lamp. I found a lamp somewhere in that room, and I turned it off. I put it in the middle, and we just had the chairs all around. And we were praying, and we were worshiping, and we just had music. I think George Garcia might have been on the guitar. He's our guitar man. And it was just a real sweet atmosphere, beautiful. We were praying, and then in comes my friend with Rebecca. And so this individual was coming, and I had already known him. And then in comes Rebecca, and I was like this just very gentle soul, very quiet. She was just sitting there so quietly, just observing everything. She was just like she almost looked like a deer in the headlights. I'm like, she's never coming back. I felt like I was never going to get to officially meet you. Like we were going to be done and you were taking off. That's what I felt. I felt like you were very timid, or you were checking things out. You were very quiet. You have this quiet spirit about you, and this is who you are. I know that now, but at that time, I did not know. So that was my first observation of you. And then, so I did get to say hello. I did get to introduce myself. And then I got the privilege to meet you and talk to you. And she is like this treasure cove of a human being. She has an amazing life. I know, she's so shy even talking about it. She's the most humble person I know. So she has she talks, and it's like I'm talking to someone who's 90 years old. I'm telling you, it's like she has wisdom. and she snorts like crazy. You're gonna hear a lot of snorting here. Okay, she's fine, I promise you. She's fine. This is what she does. But she is she's wise beyond her years. I love the way she loves other people. She genuinely just loves people. And then I also loved how affectionate she was with me. It only took like a few times for us meeting, and she was hugging me and just like she invaded my personal space straight away. And I love that we were just talking about that. I love that because for me, touch is my love language. Like I love just snuggling, holding someone, but it can be really like people can take it really sketchy here, so you have to be careful what that looks like. And I have to always be on guard and kind of disciplined about who I touch and how and all that, like, because it's something that can be beautiful but can be also taken off context and not seen correctly in a godly perspective. And so when she did it, I received it and I knew it was godly and beautiful. And she's one of those that she'll hug me and she'll just stay holding on to me. She'll just hold on to me, or she'll hold me, or she'll come near me. And I love that. And so I love her affection towards all people. How she, I was like footsie with her. See, I touch, I put my foot on her thigh. And that would freak most people out. And it should, as it should. But Rebecca welcomes it. She's like, she'll grab my foot. So I tap her and she's not annoyed by it. Okay. So those are the things. And her generosity. Her generosity with her time. She works full time. I mean, sometimes she had worked 12 hours and came to volunteer with Jesus Dogs, which is a street outreach that I do in Joplin, Missouri. She gives unselfishly. She buys whatever was needed without being asked, without, like, she just gives. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's something that I saw. We're gonna get into. I don't want to jump ahead, but I'll talk about where Morgan fits into this as well. But her generosity was just something that I was like, for a young girl to be willing to say and to work hard and be like, oh, here, I want to buy this, or she doesn't even tell you. She'll just buy it, or she'll just give. These are the things that stood out about Rebecca, and I was just amazed by her as this beautiful woman of God, wise beyond her years. And so, yeah, definitely, I was thankful that God brought her to me, and it's an honor that God allowed me to connect with her. I got to meet her parents now and all of that. Okay, what now? Your perspective on the other end. Do you even remember when we met?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my friend from college he had gone into my work and we had reconnected. So I had been out of college, I think, a year and a half or a year, something like that. So I haven't seen him since I left college. And then he happened to go into where I was working at the time, and so we were connected. He was telling me about your guys' get together, and then one day when I was still working, he called and said, "Hey, they're gonna have one of these meetings tonight. Do you want to go? I was just thinking of you. Do you want to go?" And I was just like, "Yeah, why not? I don't have any other plans. I might as well. That gives me an opportunity to reconnect with this friend, and then I can go and do this group." Because at the time, I also didn't have a small group I was going to either, and so I was like, "Well, that's a good way. If this is a healthy church setting, I don't mind having a small group. It gives you community." And so I went, and I actually was observing everything because I've been in a lot of different church settings, some healthy, some unhealthy, and so I've learned to, like, kind of look out for certain types of things. And this group was a little bit different from what I had actually been exposed to previously, and there were some similarities with, like, different types of things. I didn't know any of the songs any of the songs you were singing, so I had to learn them as George was singing them. So that was interesting, trying to follow along while also learning some new songs that I liked, even I thought they were good. I was like, "Oh, I haven't heard this song. This is nice." But I liked overall what I saw, and I saw that you cared about the Bible and cared about actually teaching what was in the Bible and not just the religion of Geo, which happens a lot in little small contexts like that.
Geo, I've never heard of that. Yes. Okay.
So I was kind of, because I didn't know what I was walking into, but I liked it, and I tried very quickly to participate, because I know, especially in small groups, and if you have people that aren't from a church background, they are hesitant to participate in answering questions or in asking questions or in, if you were asking, I think you had asked, is there anything that needs prayer or blessings to share? And I had shared something one of the first 2 times I went, but I was trying to, because I'm a preacher's daughter, so I'm also used to being one of the people that is supposed to do that. So I was used to that. So for me, I was like, well, this is a way of participating. This is how you get involved. And so I was trying to learn the people and kind of get the scope of who all was there and what each person believed, where they were at, and their like faith and things like that. But I was, after going a few times, I was confident that the people, you, George, and your daughter Gianna, that you who are the leads, were focused on the Bible. And so that to me is like, okay, I can keep coming to this. And then you start doing the actual, like, let's do an outreach for the homeless, let's feed them. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. Outreach
you
is
decided to
part of the faith.
participate. Yeah. So, and then you just plugged in. You just were not shy about that. You just plugged right in.
My parents were very much, they would always encourage us, even as children, of you find something you can do and then you do it. You don't, in a church, for you to be part of the church, you have to participate. If you're just sitting on a bench, you're not really doing anything. You might even believe in God, but you're not fulfilling the duty of faith and the duty of a Christian. So from the time I was a child, I was raised, if there's something in the church that you see that needs done and you are able to do it, go and do it. And so that's that. I would attribute that to my parents taught that.
And so Rebecca, one thing about Rebecca, she's a missionary from Brazil. Were you born in Brazil?
Yes.
Okay, so she was born in Brazil. She came to Ozark to Bible college, right? And then you volunteer with the kids that come from like missionary families that are trying to acclimate back into the U.S. or have never been in the U.S. because they're missionary kids, and acclimate. You're trying to help them because you can empathize. And Rebecca is now a wife. So there's all these facets to her. And so tell me about being a missionary from Brazil. What was...
Well, I think our hometown, at least when I was a kid, it's not a town. It's a big city. I think it has about 200,000 people. So it's a big place, but it's in the middle of nowhere in Brazil, and so a lot of people. It's in Tocantins, so it's Araguaína, Tocantins, and Tocantins is the newest state in Brazil. So it's a baby state, essentially speaking. It's, I think, 50 some odd years old, 60 now probably. But that means because of the way the education is there, a lot of people, especially down south, don't know it exists. And so they're like, well, where even is this? Where are you from? What do you mean you're from Brazil? This place doesn't exist. We're like, no, it's part of Goiás. It's where it's split and it's now a new state. So it's a big city, but only the people that are there, and truckers, because it's an essential city to go from south to north in the country. It's smack dab in the middle of the country. And you basically, if you're going from north to south or south to north, you have to go through it. And so it's a bustling city of it's got some of the best infrastructure and some of the best, even cattle. It's cattle country as well. And they've done a good job of balancing both. So we got the best of both economies, essentially, which was really nice. So we have a nice house. What's considered, we think it's a mansion, comparatively speaking to all the houses there. But whenever the churches that support us would send somebody down to just check in on us, see how we're doing, see what it is like there, they're like, this is such a tiny little house. And we're like, what are you talking about? This is a huge place. It fits a family of 6 very comfortably.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, I think we grew up very, very well. people automatically assumed we were just rich for being Americans. There's this perception that American means rich, and then we would have them over, and we would do things. They're like, "Oh, you're not rich, are you? Because you're treating your stuff like you can't possibly replace." And we're like, "Well, because we can't afford to replace them." And they're like, "Oh, you're just like us."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." So that was interesting. Growing up, people would first meet you, and they're like, "Oh, you must be American." So when they meet my dad, they know he's American. When they meet my mom, they think she's from down south because that's what her accent sounds like. It's like a textbook accent, essentially.
Down south Brazil?
Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the Portuguese, the way they speak Portuguese is the giveaway. So my dad sounds like a foreigner. But there ain't no getting around that. There's nothing he can do. He doesn't get the feminine and masculine correct. He doesn't, like, it's very obvious. That's his second language. My mom speaks it well enough, but with a textbook accent. And so she sounds like she's from southern Brazil. She sounds like where the textbooks came out of. So she speaks fluently and beautifully, but they assume they have sometimes assumed she's married up because she married an American, and then she's like,
wow.
"No, we're both American actually." So that's interesting. And when they hear my siblings, they don't even think we're American, and then they hear my dad, they're like, "Huh?" They meet our dad, and then they know.
So you were born in Brazil, and you. So at what point did you decide, or was it decided for you, that you're going to come to college in Missouri, of all places, to Ozark?
So it wasn't decided for me. My parents and I did have conversations about how I was going to continue schooling. So in Brazil, homeschooling is not a thing. They don't think that's something anybody should do. For the reasons that I'm sure they would give a lot of reasons for it. We got away with some homeschooling because we're dual citizenships, and by the time we were even 7, 6, 7, and 8, all of my siblings and I are very close in age, but all of us could read basic reading capabilities for our age in 2 different languages. And so that's kind of how we got away with some homeschooling. I only had a year of homeschooling. I did kindergarten at home, and then we went into regular school. But because you were
was it public school?
It was a private school.
It was a private school.
Because of the strikes. Because of the strikes that the public schools go on, my parents decided that they needed to actually get us into a private one because the public schools are usually not in session for like I'd say around 7 to 9 months of the year. And so there's no schooling essentially. Even in our area, which was that was the place to go to for school, for hospitals, for anything. There were so many strikes in the public schools that if you're in a public school, you're just not learning anything just because of the strikes. And so my parents decided they were able to put us into a private school. It was an Adventist school actually. So they looked around, and part of the consideration in that even was because it was Christian based. Even if there's some disagreements between what we believe and what they believe, ultimately they wanted Christ as the center of the education, which my parents were like, yeah, we can get behind that.
Yeah.
So I did schooling there. In Brazil, if you do not finish high school, there is no GED. There's no way to complete it without having gone.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
I got to a point where I could not handle school, like in-person schooling at all, and did online high school, which was an American high school. I enjoyed that. It was really good. It was literally American online high school. Shout out to them. They did a great job, I think.
American Online High School. That's the name of it.
I think they did a really good job. I think they're also a private institution, because a public one I would have had to come to the U.S. Once or twice a year to do a test for. But because I did that, I could not go to college in Brazil.
Okay.
And that was a discussion we had before I did that was, okay, I think I was 14 or 15 when we even were talking about that, like, hey, if you do this, you are choosing the U.S. because Brazil will not let you go to a college. And I'm like, yes. And at the time, there was some unhealthy views surrounding. I had been working on still finding healthy views of balancing the fact that I can have two cultures. So my early teenage years were very much in turmoil over am I Brazilian, am I American, and who can I like one, can I like the other, or do I have to pick one? And so there's very much a
Did you visit? You visited the U.S. throughout growing up.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, throughout growing up. So I
Do you have like the first memory of when you visited the U.S.?
I was 2 months old.
Okay. Well, what was your first memory of
my
visiting the U.S.?
Earliest memory would be when we were here in 2007, and we were in Jasper, Missouri, actually. So what, a few hours from something like that?
I have no idea.
I think it's a couple hours from here.
I'm a Texan.
So,
I have no clue. I'm still trying to figure out.
It's
Yeah.
actually in
Like
the
an
area.
Carthage.
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Oh.
Okay, so there you go. It's
Okay.
really close from here.
She said a few hours.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm
We
terrible
both
with
are
locations.
foreigners, apparently.
That was the first time I was in a school. So I went to first grade, and I was here in the U.S. We all had to do a test to see where we were at because we're international students, but we're not. And so the school has to test us every time we came to the U.S. The school would have to test us and place us based on our test. And so I was placed into first grade, and my siblings were placed into their grades. But we would walk to school. Jasper's nothing. They're like, I don't know. It's a little bitty place, and the whole, basically, at least at the time, practically the whole city was Christian. The school was essentially Christian. It was a public school, but it was a
So when you would visit, you would go into school?
sometimes.
Okay.
So that time, that memory in particular is we would walk, and there was this bridge over nothing, and it was just this little short piece of bridge, like about that, like this couch length, basically. And I loved walking to school and going over that bridge. That went over nothing. So,
Bridge over nothing.
so that's one of my earliest memories is that there was a bridge, and I got to like just feel like a princess walking to school because I got to walk over this.
So that is your memory. Do you and then you went, but you lived out there till you were in your late teens, and then came to Ozark.
Yeah.
Okay, how did
So
you
we lived
decide
full-time in
Ozark?
Brazil.
Do you have family here?
So I decided on Ozark because it was a Christian school, and I had already decided I wanted to do ministry, and that's what I wanted to do as a job. I'd worked with my church back home. I was the secretary for the youth for a little while. I helped my mom coordinate VBSs, and I was from the time I was a teenager, even when I was like 12 and 13, I was helping set up and coordinate and get supplies ready for VBSs and things. I liked doing that more than participating.
Like a PK. You're very much a PK, a pastor's kid.
Very much so. But my parents tried being careful about not forcing us to do things like that. They wanted to let us be regular church kids as well, but I just really, really enjoyed it, and I wanted to, and so they were like, well, I mean, if you want to do that, you're still learning, you're still putting these things together, and you're participating in the church in a way that you want to do it, and you're doing it well. Okay, so they encouraged it, and so I would always help from VBSs
You were always in it.
Yeah, volunteer for the nurseries, for the church conventions. I've done worship. I've done basically a lot. I've done a little bit of everything that a church would need.
Good.
Essentially, I was one of the main people that did the data show, which is the little projector thing. I've done transparency things where you have to flip the transparency, and it has the mirror and it screens it up.
Gosh,
So
yes,
I've done
I remember
that.
those machines. So when you came to Ozark, was it a culture shock? When you came to finally live in the U.S. as a college student?
It was more of a culture shock than I expected, because I've been back and forth to the U.S. and Brazil. I already knew there's going to be some level of culture shock, but especially also living in the dorms, I had to learn. Before, when we'd been in the U.S., we'd been in our grandparents' houses most of the time, or in our relatives' houses with people we would stay with most of the time, or a church family friend that was basically our relative at that point, as far as we were concerned. So it was very odd to me being in the dorms and having to learn, even a new level of modesty even within the girls' dorms.
Mm.
It's Christian college dorms are not mixed; they are separate. But even learning what is
A
appropriate
new
within the same
level
gender.
of modesty. What are you talking
So
about?
in Brazil, we would like at our church conventions, they would have showers and bathrooms, and if you were a girl, you'd be showering with all the other girls, and you were probably going to see a bunch of people naked.
That was just
Whereas
used.
here, yeah,
Wait, that was just like part of your upbringing to be able to see. It's the most natural thing to see
it's
someone
natural.
naked and
Well, within the same
the
gender.
age group.
Yeah,
and
within
same
the
gender.
age group, within the same gender, that's not odd at all. Even teenagers, girls would. I've showered with my teenage girlfriends. Like that was normal. That was not odd. And here, they're very, very much, so much with the personal space, and so much with there's this like 6 foot bubble around everybody, even before COVID. There's the 6 foot bubble around everybody is what it felt like to me. But where even when I was in my room and somebody would knock and I was changing clothes, I didn't even think. I was like, oh, come in. And then the girl would open thinking everybody's fully dressed and I'm there changing. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't see it. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I probably caused a lot of culture shock too.
I love that. I caused culture shock.
I had to like learn some things because even though I don't think either is wrong, but the reality is because I was choosing to live here, I wanted to be respectful of what was considered
Right.
good and Christianly even here, whatever the level of modesty was. I ended up switching out a lot of my clothes from Brazil that were more revealing because it's a lot hotter there. So I would wear a lot more lower cut things because that there is still modest. You're still fully clothed. Whereas here, anything that's like under this point is not modest, and it's like okay. And so I've had to find a balance in that just to
Aside from clothing, what else?
food. You have a lot of finger foods here.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, there's still a level of formality surrounding food. And if you're out in public, so like if I'm coming over to your house, you are not my age, so you're not my peer. If I touch my food in front of you, that's being rude. It's like not like the worst thing you can possibly do, but it's seen as I'm being disrespectful to you as somebody who's
So I have to
me higher.
serve you? Or what do you
No,
mean?
so you have to use fork and knife for everything. Even fried chicken. So like my best friend and I, we went together to Ozark and they served fried chicken, which you guys normally would just eat. You know, grab it and eat it like this. And she and I were just cutting it off and eating it like that. And we would get a lot of stares and people were like, well, what's going on here? So we would explain it's a different culture. Yeah, it's different etiquette, different culture. Whereas like if we were the same age and I came over, wouldn't matter because if we were peers, if we were peers and we're not in public, it's not you're the same age, so there's no hierarchical difference, so there's no formality required.
Interesting.
And so that foods were a thing.
So you did experience, of course, a level of culture shock or awareness that there's some differences, and this made you really empathetic to children of missionaries. And so you tell me about this program or this organization that you volunteer for.
Okay, so I'm not sure how much I can share, so we do have to be careful.
Right.
Because we do work with
just the
people in
gist of
countries
it.
that don't. But the idea is sometimes missionaries come back, whether it's permanently, temporarily, whether they're on what we call furlough, which furlough means rest, but I can tell you it's not restful. For the missionary families, it is not restful. They're usually doing reports to churches. They're usually doing all sorts of doctor checkups if they're in places that they don't have access to that. There's a lot going on, and they're getting things in order while they're in the U.S. for their American side of things.
Okay.
So it's anything but rest. But when they come back, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, it does vary. There's not a specific timeline. A lot of them don't have full support just because they've been away, and so the people that had close friends in high school, but then they left and went to be missionaries. When they come back, they're just not as close to those people sometimes. So it's not like nobody cares, but they don't have the country that they knew is no longer the same. So even for the parents and the adults, now it's odd. Now they're the outsiders. And so even for them, it's a little bit different. And so we work with both the parents and the children, and we try and give space for the parents to be able to air out some of their insecurities or hurts over going and coming back or both. And we give the kids space without the parents being there for them to also be able to say, you know what, and siblings, families, when we have families with siblings, one of the number one rules is we don't interrupt and we don't correct. So if your sibling and you might have different thoughts on the very same memory. So sometimes you'll have experienced the same thing, but one of you is like, this was the best thing ever, and the other one is like, it was so horrible. I hated that. And so we don't let siblings fix, oh, well, that's not what happened. Like, well, no, maybe that is what happened in their eyes. And so what we're trying to do is not even necessarily get 100% accurate, this is historically factual of what happened here, but it's trying to help, especially young children, help them have the vocabulary even to express what they felt.
Yeah.
To help them know, to identify what feelings they're feeling. We like using Inside Out for the kids, especially the young ones, because they see anger, sadness, happiness. They're like, oh yeah, I feel like hurt, or I feel like anger a lot, and that helps them in a.
I feel like that would be good for all children, like all families, because you can live through something, and all 4 different people who experienced it have different. Their perspective is different, and perspective is reality to the person perceiving it. And so that's so interesting. I love that.
And the other thing we try doing is we try giving the parents, hey, we talked with your kids about this stuff. Here's some questions you can ask. I had a family with very young boys that I was the one directly helping them. We happened to have enough helpers and facilitators that I was able to help them, and I was trying to think, okay, where are these boys from? Because they were very young for our age group, so they were too young to understand abstractness and be able to abstractly just give out. So I needed to be very specific so that they knew what the assignment was. But I tried, okay, what in my life as a missionary would have connected with these boys? And I ended up finding a thing that they just clicked with. They're like, oh yeah, this and this, and started telling me a story. And when their parents came in to meet us that day, because they hadn't, like, we'd been introduced, but they hadn't really talked to us because they'd get kicked out and get sent to their thing for them to get some time as well. And when the parents came back and talked to me and got to know me, they're like, wait, but how did you know to do that? I was like, well, I like them. I'm just like, and because we do have people that aren't missionary kids that also volunteer. And so they didn't realize that it was another missionary kid that was loving on their missionary kids. And so that the relief that was on that mother's face was immediate, like,
totally relate.
Oh, you understand that.
Yeah.
And so and that's what I explained to her, just find at this age where you have to be very specific, but here's things that they're not gonna know when you say, oh, well, how are you feeling about this? Because they've got big feelings and they're young enough that they aren't able to express, I'm feeling this, this, and this. But if you ask them, oh, you remember this friend of yours, they did that. How do you feel specifically about that? Do you miss it? Like, you can kind of guide them.
You're able to really relate and talk to the kids, and I love that you do that you use like your life, your story, you saw an organization where you could go and help out and do that. I love that. And now so you've been here a while, you went to Ozark, volunteering, living life here, working full time, and now you are married. And we're going to talk a lot about that, but I want to take it step by step. So how long have you been married? Because it feels like 1,000 years. Because it feels like I haven't seen you in a long time. But I know it just happened because I was at the wedding, which was lovely.
The 14th would be our second month.
It's just too much.
Yeah, just too much.
You're still in the honeymoon stage and all of that. That's wonderful. So we're going to talk about that because you have a beautiful story which is going to unfold here, and it's going to help us. But before we do that, fun fact about you, something crazy about Rebecca.
Okay, so I have a family of nerds. We're all nerds, I think. But I, in particular, really enjoy anime. I really enjoy Star Trek. I really enjoy.
What?
things like
I
that.
did not know that about you. That is weird.
And, no,
Get out of my house!
It gets better. So when we were teens, our friend group, actually, we had several friends that also liked anime and were big movie geeks and nerds. And they, in my hometown, we had what was called the Anime Sun, which was this locally volunteer based and family friendly, so they wouldn't like serve alcohol or anything like that. It was a family based event where you could cosplay, you could dress up, you could do all sorts of like that. They one year did a maid cafe, and I volunteered as
What
one
is
of their
a
maids.
maid?
So the maid cafe is
Or maid? Is it maid or maid?
maid,
Maid.
like a cleaning maid.
Oh, okay.
So the history of it is not good. What this group was doing was just it was a dress up cafe. You were dressed up in a certain way and you served food. That's all you did at this cafe, okay?
Like play bunnies? What
Play
is
bunnies.
that? Okay, so oh my
it,
gosh, because I'm thinking, okay.
I don't know how widespread they are in Asia in general, but at least in animes, they pop up, and usually it's the ones you probably shouldn't be watching is the ones they pop up in. But the idea is there's a girl dressed in a maid outfit and guys dressed in butler outfits, and they serve you food.
Okay.
But some of them, depending on some of them are raunchier, some of them are more family friendly.
Yeah.
The one we did was extremely family friendly.
Emphasis on the family.
Very family friendly. Nothing.
Wow. So your fun fact about you is so scandalous.
It's not. But if you just Google it, you're gonna get a different. You're not gonna know what it is.
Right.
And so I had basically we tailor-made a maid outfit.
A whole maid? Oh my lord! I cannot picture it.
I had bunny ears. And
oh my gosh! I was right on. I was right on.
I did have bunny ears because I haven't already got those.
Baby.
Because that was not even my first cosplay.
Oh my gosh!
My first cosplay was of Uhura. So it's like dressing up for Halloween, but for an event instead.
Okay.
So I dressed up as Uhura for my first cosplay because she's one of my favorite characters. But yeah, it was a maid at a maid cafe.
Okay. Did you
North
hang
Central
up your costume? Are you done with this?
Only because I haven't found one to go to here that I like. But I would definitely cosplay at an event again. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Again,
it might be different in the U.S.
Family friendly events I would go to.
Okay.
There is a picture of me, and I will try to find it, of me in my maid costume, and one of the guys that was there had this huge sword, I'm assuming from a video game. And there's a picture. He saw me just looking at it and be like, so cool. And he's like, do you want to take a picture with it? I'm like, yes, I do. And so there's a picture of me in my maid outfit holding this sword. That's like, it was
so interesting.
So super light.
I want to see that picture.
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
I want to see that picture for sure.
But yeah, so that's my fun fact.
Okay, that definitely a fact I did not know about.
Very nerdy, very nerdy.
Fun and interesting, and okay, I'm gonna do a Yui. I'm gonna now bring us back to our the depth to this conversation as far as the unmatched piece here. I love that I get to talk to you about some of these things. So we're going to deep dive into with these questions, and we're going to tackle them one at a time. And I want you just to kind of really just let me know your thoughts on these. But because as I was thinking about this, I want to ask the question, but then I want to make sure it's understood. So I'm going to give you some context, okay? So first of all, I want to know what major spiritual transitions did you have to overcome when you first started living here in the States? So here's my question. So is walking with Jesus in Brazil different than walking with Jesus in the U.S.? following him here, how is the terrain different? So I love walking trails. I love walking and hiking and all of that. And I love nature. And there are some trails that are easy peasy, gorgeous, beautiful, but easy peasy as far as like you're enjoying nature, you're walking, there's not much, like the terrain is not rough. And then there are places I'll go to where you're going up. Maybe there's a cliff, right? Right at the edge. You're walking right on the edge of this big cliff. There's different hikes, different vistas, different, different nature pieces, and it's so different. Rocks, loose rocks, dangerous, not so dangerous, rough, steep, all of these different terrains. Every trail is different. Every hike is different, and there's levels to it. I love going on trails, but they're not all the same. So as I was thinking about this question, I think following Jesus in Brazil, in this, the only place that you were born there, this where you lived, and your parents being missionaries and your parents doing ministry, all the time you're there helping, and then you come here and now you are on your own getting settled on all of these different new things, different ways of behaving, etiquette, living, culture, and then so physical things, but what about the spiritual terrain? How was that here? Was it shocking? Was American Christianity shocking to you? Can you tell me about that, like the spiritual transition?
I don't think it was shocking to me because I had, when I was like my mid-teens, I started getting onto like YouTube commentators and things like that. I would watch them, so I was already somewhat aware of what it was gonna be like a little bit on that, but they are very different, and I would say neither Brazil nor the U.S. are Christian nations. They're not. The U.S., yes, was founded as a Christian nation. It is currently not a Christian nation. I don't know what the percentage is here of Christians anymore, but at this point, I'm very certain it's no longer even 50%. I think it's under 50% at this point. I think it was 40% or something like that now currently. But so it's the majority is not even Christian. The difference being, although they're both not Christian, Brazil is very religious. The U.S. is in its post-secularism, where it is religious to an extent, but not in general. So in Brazil, you still have voodoo, you still have spiritism, there is animism. It's not as prevalent as the other two are. There's still the Catholicism. And Brazilian Catholicism, by the way, is not the same as like European Catholicism or even American Catholicism. Brazilian Catholicism, basically what it is, it was when the Portuguese brought their slaves, brought their prisoners, brought everybody that they brought over, they told them, well, now you're Catholic because we're Catholic. And so especially the Africans were like, well, we have all these spiritists, we have all these animism gods, or however they viewed it, so they mixed them all. And they just associated them with Catholic saints and Catholic things. So it's not the same thing. So it's very odd. It's odd to me. It's logical as to how that came about because nobody was actually converted. They were just told you're Catholic now, and they're like, please don't kill me. Okay, I'm Catholic now. I'll say that if that's all it takes. And which was kind of what happened with most Catholic takeovers was you're Catholic now. Like, okay, just don't kill me. I'm Catholic now. So it's not, especially growing up there, you could ask 10 Brazilians on the street, random people, completely random, different ages, different demographics, different family histories. You could ask them, are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? Are you Catholic? Are you atheist? 9 out of 10 of them when I was growing up would say I'm Catholic. I'm like, oh, okay, you're Catholic, so you believe in God. I was like, well, yeah, but I mean, the Pope has to do his. They would say all sorts of Catholic, like, liturgy. essentially they would know a lot of that. They're like, oh, when was the last time you went to mass? They're like, uh, uh, I don't know, when I was 2, when they did my baptism, um, and so they don't even go. So
Right.
they're not even believing Catholics, I would say. So it was, but they're very religious. That they would, if you say you're from, you believe in God and you're religious, there would be a certain level of respect for you, even if they completely don't believe in it. Which here, there's a disrespect. If you're a Christian, you are automatically seen as stupid and something to disrespect because they view, oh, you're a Christian, you're being judging, you're forcing it. And there, oh, you're a Christian, you're trying to be good. So, and some of
It's a
that
different
has changed
perspective.
since I've left. Some of that has changed. Brazil has moved more towards the secular side of things. But at least growing up, that's what it was. There was this, you're a Christian because you're trying to do better. Whereas here, there's this idea because you don't agree with everything, you must not love people.
And Rebecca, what about you personally? What about like your own spiritual, your journey, your walk with the Lord in Brazil versus here? How was that impacted?
I think it was in a sense harder to keep with the practices I was taught when I was a kid, of even just from reading your Bible regularly to praying regularly. All that was harder to do here because everybody, to me, again, coming from a culture that is very community driven to an unhealthy extreme, but very community driven to a culture that is very individual driven, again, to an unhealthy extreme.
Yeah.
That to me, even though when I was first year I was in college, I was volunteering at the churches, but it felt like I was doing nothing and I didn't know anybody, and it was hard for me to even connect to other Christians because it seemed like nobody wanted to touch, nobody wanted to actually talk, nobody wanted to sit
At
down.
least not about deep things.
Yeah,
for sure.
nobody wanted to just sit down and take time.
Yeah.
Because there's no time to do anything here.
Right.
There's a strict schedule. Even when in college we were learning, oh, this is how you do a youth program. It's event. I'm like, when do these kids get to just talk to each other? And I even told my professors in these events, they're good and all, but if these kids don't get a chance to just talk to each other and question their faith, they're going to be the first ones to go. Because they're not building relationships, they're just building event. I went to this event, but we had such a strict time frame that we didn't actually get to talk and get to know anybody we were with.
Yeah.
And so you have these kids that grow up in church and they're, and me seeing that, and since I was volunteering at a church, I was seeing that in live, and I'm like, wait, these kids aren't even comfortable talking to us in this small group. In a church that I considered fairly healthy, and I was like, they've got so much programmed that they don't have time to just get to know each other. They don't have time to just question their faith with each other and be able to say, hey, I'm struggling with this in a non-formal setting.
Yeah.
And that was very hard for me because I was very used to, in Brazil, they hardly do any events. They do special events like once a month, something special. But the rest of it it's geared towards personal.
It's life.
It's geared towards living life together and just like, hey, you know what? The youth, we're gonna have church, but then we're gonna go out and eat. And it was very. You come if you need a ride, we'll take you. If you and for those that like couldn't afford it, maybe like just talk to one of the leaders, they'll get it covered. But it's a lot more loose, whereas here it's so strict.
Yeah.
Even when I was trying to help, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so rigid that I couldn't breathe as a helper in that. And I ended up stepping out. I was like, I can't do this.
It's true. Americans, especially, Christian Americans, they worship at the altar of their calendars. They worship their calendars, and to build community, which I really feel that I'm called to do that. Everywhere I go, I want to build community. I want to get to know people. I want to sit with you. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. I think that is so important. I remember growing up and having my grandmother maybe once a month or something, they would gather. Mm, well, first of all, oops, on a daily day, on a regular day, they would always have people over at a certain time, and they would just converse, just talk. And then, of course, you know, as far as the family, because they're so large, when the family would gather, they would eat dinner. They would have the long table. They would eat dinner, and then they would stay at the table for another 2 hours, just talking about everything and anything. And I loved as a kid just listening. You know, and this is kids were like, "Oh, you go play," but I wanted just to hear. I wanted to listen to the conversations. I love that. I love the fact that you know that's part of like the humanity, just building relationships, community, and we're missing that, and it is so unhealthy because you do things. I see it like you do this programming. You quickly do one event or one program, and there's no time to really connect with people. Everything is so structured, or there's a schedule for the event, and so there's very few moments for in-depth getting to know someone. You have to be completely intentional. You have to go after people and be like, okay, I'm having lunch with you. I'm having coffee with you. I want to talk to you. I want to carve out an hour, 2 hours of my day to get to know you. That's almost unheard of, um, and it's you have to be intentional. And when you do it, I've noticed people feel very much loved and appreciated, and relationships are built on those. When you build it on that, it's a beautiful thing, and it's friendships develop from that. They don't develop from you quickly seeing someone at an event or something. It's called
Even
networking.
if you've seen them at multiple events,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't ever actually fully talk to them and get to know their story, and they don't get to know yours,
So I
They're
love
acquaintances.
your insight on that, because coming from Brazil, this is what you observed. You know, I didn't. I grew up in the U.S., but I did go to Mexico a lot. And that's where my grandma was family. So these things come from that culture, the Mexican culture as well, a different culture. So yeah, I can see how it is a little bit harder in the U.S. to build these type of communities or in-depth friendships. You know, with the way we live around our calendar and our scheduling and all of that. So, and this is why I love podcasting, because it's an excuse to sit with someone for 2 hours and let's talk, you know, and we can get into some deep things, and these conversations, I really believe, help people as they listen. I'm that child just listening from, watching the adults at the table and just listening. I love that. When I listen to podcasts, that's kind of how I feel. So that's very interesting. I was thinking about that. So spiritually, going through that and seeing that, this was hard. How did that affect you personally, your relationship with God, or did it affect?
No, it definitely did. When you stop regularly talking to God, or Christians, if I was in a job that I worked overnights and I was not able to go to church on Sunday for a very long time, that I definitely became a lot more depressed. I was about to the point where I was ready to even leave the US, because I was like, well, this is not working. This is horrible. I hate it. I don't like any of this. I can't go to church. And some of it was because of the job, and some of it was the rigidity of faith here, which was interesting. Not because people don't have faith, but because they're so rigid in their faith that they struggled to meet me where I was. And
when you mean rigid in their faith, like how so? Like, what do you mean?
Well, like, especially when I first came and I was going to church, I got comments and looks about how I was dressed. Instead of somebody coming up and introducing themselves and talking to me and saying, oh, hey, and getting to know me, they would very quickly learn, no, I'm from a different country. and then lovingly saying, "Oh, okay."
So
Just so you know, like, people are gonna look. I mean, that people can do what they want. That's one thing I like about here is that it's a free country. Do what you want and say what you want. But instead of a Christian shouldn't just flippantly judge. That's not healthy. We are called to be discerning and judgmental in a sense, but we're also called to love people, and that means if there is a problem, which my clothes were not appropriate for the American church. Somebody needed to lovingly come to me and tell me that instead of just giving me looks and be like, and saying like, that's really low cut, right? I'm like, no, it's not. From my perspective, it wasn't. But
now she's dressed like a Missouri girl,
and
with just a hoodie. It's not hard to be the best dressed in the Midwest. I'm telling you, everyone here wears a hoodie and sweats.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
And so, and it's just they had this view of this is what because that was what they were taught their whole life is you dress this very specific way, which by the way, every church does this pretty much. They're very protective because mostly they want to protect, especially women, but they want to protect everybody in the church. So that's common. That's not just these people did it wrong. It's I had a view of it myself, so that's very normal to have these very strict beliefs in a sense. But they had no.
It's discipleship.
They weren't.
And building relationships.
And the ones that did, that I actually got to meet, the people that I was volunteering with, I had a much better relationship with them, so they actually talked to me and we would actually converse, and they're like, oh, okay. And they would like help me learn some American things and help me figure out some more American things, which I did need help with. That was the reality of it. To some extent, I will never fully be American because I did not grow up here, and that's okay. But that did mean I needed some help, especially when I first moved, just in integrating into the culture itself. And it was a lot more helpful coming from the people that had a relationship versus the people that were being strict and just fake giving faces instead of just coming over, introducing themselves. Hey, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you is the starting point for everything.
I'm sorry you went through that, but I mean it is something that we need to pay attention as those in the body of Christ, as those believers. The U.S. like I'm trying to say two things at once. The U.S. is an individualistic society. It's an individualistic. They're very individualistic, even in family settings. You're your own person, and it's hard because I am very much that because I grew up in that. So the school setting, the way you learn, I learned to be that way, individualistic. But when you come to know Jesus, truly know him, and follow the Jesus way, it is, he says you're part of a body. You're part of a family. And it's almost like relearning things you were supposed to learn as a child, as a human being, and understanding that you were never meant to do this on your own. It is okay to need people. It is okay to want to be around people. That is almost seen as bad here. Like, why do you need someone? You can do it on your own. Look out for number one. And so this mentalities keep us divided and not united. I had someone tell me, and this shocked me. This is someone who's been a Christian for a long time, most of their life. They're up in age. And she said to me, I don't understand why you can't do ministry on your own. Why do you need people to do ministry? And it was so, to me, shocking and almost like ignorant in her, the way she described this. Because I thought, that is not how God created us to need one another. To be the body of Christ. To what can the head do without a neck? What can a leg do without the toes? we need each other. We all have different skill sets, and we were never meant to do it on our own. In Genesis, he said, "It is not good for man to be alone." That's not just in marriage. That's in everything, you know?
And even relating to the ministry side, but in the New Testament, the apostles were often seen in twos.
Yeah.
The people being sent out, the church leadership being sent out to take care of the widows, elders go out in pairs or like groups that you were taught.
Yeah.
The biblical example is don't do it alone, because we're humans. We're not. Shocker for anybody there. We're not able to do everything.
And there's a danger if you can. If you can do everything on your own, then you can be prideful, egotistical. Then you don't need people. Yeah, and you don't need people. So then the whole thing is that you do need. You need the Lord. You can't, you know, and you need people. If anything, it shows you that you know we can't do it in our own strength, and that's the beauty of it. That God gives us each other. He gives us a community. He says gather. So absolutely. Okay, I want to press forward to the next question because I think this is what I've also I know you're going to have a lot of insight here, and so okay, your desire at some point you have a desire to be a wife, to be in a relationship that would lead to marriage. Okay, so how did that impact your pursuit of Christ? Because sometimes certain desires can be distracting. Okay, so in context, let me set this up better. Okay, so because I wrestle with this, right? Now it's easier because time has taught me a lot. And yet there are moments that I find myself having to lead my heart back to Jesus. And sometimes that gets old. How do you handle, or how did you handle these longings? Or was it a non-issue for you?
So the desire itself for wanting to be a mom, wanting to be a wife, wanting to have that, what I think is a sacred promise in a sense of Adam and Eve were a representing of a promise of this is a like Church in the Christ, this is like a relationship, and this is something that is good for you. So the desire itself for me was not distracting. Now, what was distracting at times was if I looked towards the wrong person. Especially with some of my history, I think you know some of this, but like I was broke when I was a kid, so I had for a very long time very unhealthy views of men, of myself, and of myself in regards to men.
So you had like a sexual advance. Someone advanced you, did something to you sexually.
Yeah. So I was not raped or anything like that. I was just groped. So it was just a boy not much older than myself put his hands down my pants repeatedly. So that which is minor compared to what could have happened, caused a lot of essentially psychological damage of now what God had made beautifully was then in my mind this was broken. It wasn't, I was no longer beautiful. Men were something to be feared, but something that if I was to be a woman, I needed to have sexual attention. I needed to be able to get it and maintain it. And so that which was not healthy, viewing yourself in that way is not healthy. That's not where your identity should be. So I went through many years of not having that healthy view. And that was a problem. Again, that wasn't the desire, that was the issue. It was what sin in the world broke, made it, twisted it. Like it twisted the compass away, and it had to be corrected and be fixed. Which God, in my eyes, God fixed it. Humanly, it is not possible to fix that kind of breakage. Humanly speaking, it is not, but God fixes it. God heals. In this case, it was just my mind. It wasn't, luckily, nothing else physical needed healing, but it was just the mind. but there was a healing and that got pointed back. And once that got pointed back, again, it was no longer a deterrent. It was a, yes, I want a godly man for my children, for my future children. That I was 10 years old when I learned that some women can't have children. And from that point on, immediately I was like, oh, I want children. It was at 10 that I realized, and this wasn't even before having been growth, before that I realized I want to be a mom. Not in any kind of weird way, just oh, that's not how it's supposed to be. The world, because of sin and breaking the world, now there are those that cannot have children. But that wasn't how we were designed.
Yeah.
Eve had several children naturally, and it's like we were designed for birth and for nurturing life. That was what our bodies were made for. So that to me is a very natural desire. It's a very godly one, even. So it did, at least for me, it did not. That desire itself was not an issue, but the brokenness that can come around it can affect it and cloud it and make it something that it should not be.
Okay. I admire the way you navigate relationships in your life. So we're gonna get into the weeds now. Okay. So one in particular, I'm not gonna mention any names, but so a guy friend, who for the most part, that's who brought you over. That's how I met you, and then was in your life. And for the most part, everybody around you thought, at least
They
I
just assumed we
didn't say
were
it,
in fact dating.
yeah, and then said, or thinking, oh, this is it. This is her person, her future husband. Then time revealed otherwise, and I know that that was painful, but you dealt with it like a champ. And I wanna talk about this a little bit. I believe that this is so important because we are so easily deceived. Not that you were, but could have, which could have led to many years of being stuck, thinking this is it, or left you with bitterness or in pain for a longer time. There's situationships, modern dating, app culture, and that can lead us to the wrong person, to wrong people. Not bad people, saying they're bad, but there can be confusion, and the heart can get stuck on second gear. I was thinking about this as I was opening up a bag of chips. I haven't had chips in a long time. Chips are like my vice. Like once in a while, I'll allow myself. I'm like, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna have some chips. I love chips. I'm a salty girl. I'm not a sweet girl. You can put cakes and ice cream on for it. I don't care. But put a bag of chips or something salty. I'm like, I'm going after it. Put bacon, a pile of bacon in it. So this bag of chips, I got it. I'm like, okay. I felt bad spending even the money that I spent for this bag of chips, and I open it, and I'm like, where the heck are the chips? You know how to tell you they settle, the settling effect, because they put this, and then because of whatever the time that they settle. But the packaging looks so good. It was so alluring. I wanted the chips, and I thought I was going to get all these chips, and it was a little disappointing. And I think about that in terms of people, this settling effect. When we see someone and we go, oh, everything kind of looks good on the outside, or the feelers are there, and you're drawn to that person, and right away, like, this is my bag of chips, she's all that in a bag of chips. And so you get this person, and this person, when you really get to know them, you realize, oh, I've done settled. Now I see their character flaws. I see the way, they are. I see all of these. But now it's my bag of chips, and I've opened it, and now, like, I have settled. And people will keep that bag of chips. Like okay, I got this, I paid for it, darn it. But now it's like, okay, now it's mine. I gotta do it. I think a lot, and they don't get out of these relationships when they're not married, right? So I think of that settling effect, the red flags that are not so obvious to us. So, and the opposite is also true. There are green flags that may not be so evident because we're so hung up. So there's someone that might, okay, they have these great characteristics, they have these great attributes, but maybe you're so hung up on this something else or someone else, right? So it takes time to see the green flags, or having to understand God's type, not Geo's type, which I didn't even know I had a type. My daughters taught me that. It's so embarrassing because I was like, I don't date. I've never dated or anything like that. I don't know what God has in store for me, but I kind of am just like, I'm not, like, I don't think I'll ever date. If that makes sense, like it'll be like friend, husband, real quick in between there, whatever that looks like. I don't know. But that's, now I'm beginning to see it as I'm diving deep into scripture. I'm trying to figure this out, and God's speaking to me. But when my daughter said to me, so before I had this perspective, I thought maybe I do, maybe I will date. I don't know. And they were like, Mom, I became friends with someone, and I think this happened twice, and they were like, we're not worried about him, and I'm like, why? You don't think that no, because that's not your type. You're just never gonna go for that, even though that's a good man, even though you're not gonna. And I'm like, what in the world? What are you talking? I don't have a type. Like, oh, you have a type. And oh my gosh, they called me out. And it's gonna be black hair, and it's gonna be brown eyes, and he's gonna look a little bit ethnic, a little bit Hispanic, but it's always going to be that type. And then I examine my life and I go, oh my gosh, the men that I have let really close into my life, again, not dating or anything, but just allow them to get close, and in just conversation and liking to be around them, have these characteristics. Going, oh my God, I have a type. And I was so mad at myself. Immediately, I went to God with this, and I said, no, God, please help me. I don't want my type. I want your type. I want your type, God, and I don't know what that looks like, but whatever it is in my mind, like, destroy that type. I want your type. I want to be drawn to your type. I want to be after that. I want to be able to see green flags and red flags that come from you. So, because sometimes things don't look the way we think they're going to look. I mean, Jesus, right? He comes to planet Earth and no one can recognize him. The disciples don't recognize him. The Israelites do not recognize him. So all of these things I'm saying so that you can talk to me a little bit here about, as I watched you go through this journey of this man who seems like he was going to be the one that you were going to end up spending your life with, and all of that, to realizing, oh no, that's not it. Walking away from that in a very mature way. I'm sure it was painful, but in a very mature way. And then, lo and behold, a man walks into your life that's green flag central and is amazing, and definitely was God's best for you. But you could have been hung up on this other guy and just hang on to that bag of chips, and then later had to have opened that and gone, oh no, what did I get myself into? Talk to me about that.
So it definitely was painful. Um, that guy was, again, that was my friend from college, so I had known him previously. He was one of the first guys that I could be relatively alone with that I was not scared of. And that was very much from the get-go, which I think speaks to his character, that he was also a very calm-natured person. Um, but it was a lot easier to do my homework around him too, 'cause he didn't require conversation. He didn't he was also
Red
very
flag.
no, for me that was good. So I like
She's
just
like that
doing
red
things
flag.
together and being quiet. Like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
family is very much that way. We'll all be doing, like, my parents would be reading books quietly, but in the same room. So for me, that
To
was
be
very
together.
much normal.
I see. Okay, to be together.
That's,
I do like that. Being in someone's presence and not necessarily having to talk. But just
Especially when we
being
had
near
something,
them.
especially when we're
Yeah.
doing homework, it was actually important to get homework done.
Okay, okay.
For this.
I'll allow it.
So in that
Good.
context, that was not a bad thing.
Okay.
But it was one of the very few men that I could be in. When I say alone, we were still in a public area. This wasn't like in somebody's house or anything like that. This was just in a more quiet area of the college, but people were regularly going through. But it was just the two of us stationary at the table there, and that was somebody that I could go to. He was also somebody that there were some similarities in our. In fact, we were both international students essentially, so we were both dealing with the U.S. is the U.S. and it's different from what we each grew up with. So that was for me a very big draw of, oh, this person is going through basically the same thing I am. I can immediately connect to that, especially when I was having so much trouble connecting with the people in the American church, where it was, to me, it was a lot easier to connect to him just because of even that similarity alone. That was, which is very common with third culture kids, is when we meet either another one or somebody that is multicultural in some way. There's almost an immediate connection, which is, I think, very fascinating that works that way. But starting out, that was a good solid friendship, which I think makes a difference in how I then left, because I always, even after we had talks, like I had actually been interested in him in college. Like I briefly become aware of, like, wait a minute, this is a godly man. I'm not terrified of him. And he wanted to pursue ministry. That was why he was here, was to be able to be well learned in scripture, to be able to well teach it, and to be able to share it to especially those that have no exposure to it. And I was like, oh yeah, I've grown up in missions. I can handle just about anything he's gonna decide to try and throw at me to get me to get on his back for being interested. So I was like, yeah, I'll pursue him, talk to him a little bit more. And he actually, and I guess, I don't know if he caught on to it or if he just had something from the spirit tell him, hey, you need to tell her this isn't going anywhere while you're here. And so he had the text like, hey, I'm trying not to talk to anybody and creating like closer. And I was like, oh, okay. So it kind of got nipped in the bud there. That was just a very brief interest that I had. So I was like, oh, okay. So at that point, not heartbroken, nothing. There's no like real investment aside from the friendship itself. So we remained friends. I stepped out of college after my second year, so I did not complete everything. But then after a year, had not seen him, hadn't really talked to him since we didn't have, we just had very different lives at that point. Then he basically stepped right back into my life by going into my work, my overnight job at 2 a.m. He came in for a drink. So I worked at a gas station convenience store, so he biked up.
How convenient.
Yeah, and we happened to talk, and the first time he found out that I worked there, we talked for a while, and I thought it was funny because when he left, the guy that was working in the kitchen was like, yeah, is that weird? Do we need to like keep an eye on that? I was like, oh no, I know him, he's a friend of mine. He's like,
because he was spending time there.
Yeah, but he started coming back in. He's like, are you sure? You sure he's not just like interested in you or something? I was like, oh no, he's definitely not. He's said this much. So like, it's not even a thing. I actually asked him out at one point after we reconnected.
Rebecca, wow.
Yeah, I'm a very straightforward person. I'm like, I'm interested, I'm gonna say something. I get that from my parents, I think. They're very straightforward people too.
So you asked him out.
So I had, and I mean, when I say asked out, I was just like, okay, the thing in the US is to go out for coffee. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, this is what people do in the US for some reason. So let's do that. That's very low. Like, low key, there's nothing, no real pressure.
Okay.
It's public. It can be literally anywhere essentially. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm still, I appreciate it, but I don't want to pursue anything. And I was like, oh, okay, so you just want your friends.
So definitely giving you the mixed signals because
he was
he's
saying one
coming,
thing but doing
his
another.
actions were expressing other things. I'm
Yeah.
not interested in you, but his actions were like, I want to be in your presence. I want to keep, he kept seeking you out. He kept going to your place of work. Okay.
Yeah, basically. So very much, and he had like clarified because he had made commitments with God himself, and he was trying to keep true to those, and I was trying to be respectful of that, but also recognizing that I think God does give a lot of grace when somebody makes a brash commitment when they're younger, not fully knowing the consequences. I mean, we've seen that happen in the Bible as well, of people making a brash vow and then it turning up they literally promised to kill their child.
Yes.
Without realizing that's what they were promising. And so I very much believe in the grace of God for letting people out of commitments they make when they make them young and innocent and naively. But he did choose to then go on and basically, in my view, recommit to it. I think he was given an opportunity to, that was a vow of a young man that did not know what he was vowing, and he decided to recommit, which I wanted to respect because I do think that was a difficult decision on his part as well, because he very much was giving mixed signals of physical, the body language side of it was very clear versus the verbal, mental fight against it. But I think it goes back to
he may have been torn.
I think he was. I don't know. I'll say I was not in his mind. I don't know.
Right.
But I believe he probably was. I can't imagine it was easy on his end either, and he didn't want to risk losing the friendships.
But in spite of like this weirdness or these mixed signals, you guys became friends.
Yeah, we still maintained friendship. We still. It goes back to I think we already had a solid foundation for friendship to begin with, because we both ultimately valued each other and respected each other, and that does make a difference on things. And so that was part of one of, and I expressed myself to him a few different times of, listen, I know that your commitment hasn't changed. You're still going to do what you're going to do, and you think I'm not part of that. That's fine, but so you know, I'm praying over you and for you, and I'm praying for us, and I think there's something different.
Wow.
But if you ultimately, I'm very.
I know you made this commitment to God about this, but I want to let you know.
I'm proceeding with prayer because I believe God hears our prayers, and not because I was like, God, he's wrong, or trying to tell God that what he had done was wrong, but because I was like, God, I know he did that, and it is in. He is right in a sense of he can't just break any commitment flippantly. He cannot do that. It's one thing my dad was very strict on whenever we would make a promise was he said, do not make vows unless you are going to keep it till you die.
Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
He's like, the reason being is because it is serious. It's not a joke. It's not funny. Those two there is a difference in the two, and you shouldn't break a promise either, but he was always very strict of be very careful what you promise and what you vow to do, because that isn't a game, that isn't something you can just change.
Right.
And so I would pray not because I was trying to say, well, I think he was wrong or whatnot, but because I was like, I believe in the.
And you were spending time with him, you were getting the feelers, you were getting like.
Yeah, and I have to, and I took that to God of like, I love this man. I want to be in a relationship with him. I want to support him in his ministry. I don't want to be a hindrance. And I even prayed to God, if I will be a hindrance, remove me from his life. That was one of the things I prayed for. And that was, so I was trying to be very wholehearted of letting God deal with it.
Yeah.
Not instead of having to deal with it myself, by myself, be like, okay, here's the situation, God, you know it. But because it's important to actually talk to your Father, it's important to actually verbalize how you feel instead of just bottling it up and exploding, and things go really wrong when people do that. It was very hard but intentional.
I'm going to pause right here. I want you to keep going, but I want to pause to make sure that people are hearing this. Like, she went to God with this, and you can talk to God about everything. And yes, and I mean, if you read the Psalms, you see how David, like, he had so much angst about so many things, and he just was so expressive, and he used raw language. He didn't filter his words. And I think we need to, relationships and the person that you're going to marry, aside from the deciding to follow Jesus, is the number one most important decision that you'll ever make on planet Earth. So you need to take that to God and talk to him about this and have him work it out, because that has been the protection of the Lord over me. The minute I'm like, like, this man seems interesting, I talk to God about him, and it is like, it has been the protection of God that immediately after that conversation, God moves, and God moves in protection, right? Removes them or does something where that is no longer the case, that I don't have to wrestle with that. And if there, and you may have to wrestle with it for a while. And a lot of times it may be that God's doing something in you too. So take everything to God in prayer. Okay, continue. So you were talking to God about him.
And so he was kind of telling me a little bit about the possibilities of what he would be doing over the next however much time. I think he had a couple different plans, and one of them was to go back to his home and return there because it's a very much an unreached area, and he wanted to spread he wanted to follow the Great Commission. Which again, I wanted to support him in that in any way that I could, whether just as his friend or as his potential wife, going with him to do that ministry. And I definitely would say I kind of sold myself a little, like, hey, I've done ministry in places where people had no education, or they didn't
anywhere.
Like I've done all this stuff. I have experience with multiple cultures and culture shock, and I can adapt to a whole new culture if I need to. Like, I will figure it out. Because I've got God. Like, God's equipped me for this. Which I still believe God's equipped me for ministry.
So
I was definitely even selling myself to him. I'm like, hey, I'm definitely a good partner for you.
So here, okay, lots of stuff here. I want to stop for a minute because I want this to be helpful to other women too, to other people, men or women, because some men might be stuck on, like, this is the woman for me, but she's letting you know, like, no, this is not what I want. Or a man, right? Here's a couple of things. One, and because I was like in a front row seat to it, I can also now, we can see red flags, right? So also he was, again, his actions were not matching his what he was saying. One, two, which is, I think, big. Also, like, his finances were not that someone has to be rich, but there's a level of responsibility as a man. So also that was in question, and his plans were like, I don't know, I'm thinking might do this, might do that. So that's another, okay, so we've got some red flags here. Another thing, ladies, if you have to convince a man to be with you, to choose you, you're going to be doing that the rest of your life. That you want the man to choose you. That is so important. A man knows what he wants, and a man who truly desires you will come after you, will will pursue you in a way that is not like, not stalker like or sketchy like, but in the very least will show that he's preferring you, that he does desire you and want you, is choosing you. Because if he doesn't, and you're having to convince him that, but if we were together, if we were to get married, this is how I could benefit. This is how I could help you. This is, I see us getting married. I see this. It's very important that that you realize that convincing someone to choose you, even in a friendship, even in like a relationship that is not romantic, that you see that you do not have to do that. Spend time with people who desire to, and this is where it's a confusing, right? Because it's like he wanted to spend time with you. So I just wanted to kind of mention these things, and go on. Okay, so you were saying, hey, I could do this, but
He was very, because of commitment he'd made previously with God. He was very convinced that he was never going to be released of it, never any of that. So I even prayed specifically over that one during, ironically, Memorial Day holiday.
oh wow,
Ironically, what, 2
Yeah.
years ago now, something like that?
wow,
Would have been, would have been
Okay.
2 years ago.
okay,
Last Memorial
everything can change.
was praying. So this was also like, fairly recent,
Uh-huh.
relatively speaking.
Mhm.
And some of what the conversations we had, we had even decided like, okay, let's revisit this in a year. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be pursuing anybody. He's not pursuing anybody. And I prayed over, once we made that decision, I prayed over 2 years ago, Memorial Day. And when I was visiting my family, I was kind of letting my siblings know a little bit more about what the situation was. And so
And he was moving overseas, but watch this also. What did he do right before? He did another like commitment type thing.
So he did say if he ever felt like he was released from his commitment that he had already made, that he then made another commitment, which again, guys, do not make rash commitments.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just make commitment after commitment. That is very dangerous to do unless you really intend to upkeep them. But he said as long he basically, his second commitment was that assuming that I didn't get married, but if he viewed that he couldn't do it just himself and that God was opening up that venue for him to get married, he would consider me and I would be the one he married, essentially. Assuming that I was still interested in not already married.
Yeah.
So he then made another commitment, which was one of those where his actions were different from his words.
And he announced that this.
Yeah, he did, and he even came to visit my family, and it was trying to honor me in a way of like, hey, it's not. He was trying to kind of ease my parents' hearts because he knows I'm very open with my family. I'm very open in general. You ask me something, I'll tell you. So don't ask me anything you don't actually want to know about, because I will tell you, and I'll tell you the whole story about it. But he even came with me to visit my family and to talk to them and formally like introduce himself as who he was and that all that, which again, all those actions versus words thing.
And I find it interesting because it's almost like he's saying, no, I made this vow to the Lord to be single for the rest of my life. But if that were not to be in place, if I were to not have that, I would choose to marry you. I would choose to marry Rebecca. And he told everyone. So I felt like this was cruel, actually, because it left you in a like, what, like, it left you also like, oh, there's hope, but also like, oh, well, it's almost like I'm not going to pursue you, but I don't want you to pursue anyone else, even though he didn't say that. Like, because you're so loyal and you're so faithful, like, that was like, he's basically saying if you in the future want to be married to me, like, I kind of put you in a bind. I feel like in a bind, and it's cruel. And he didn't want you for himself, but he didn't want you for anybody else. That's kind of what it was giving. I don't know. So okay, continue.
And one thing when I was kind of telling my parents about that he was going to be going back overseas, and that as of that time the plan was he was going by himself. He was not planning. That was before he had said any of that too. But he was doing that. I was talking to my parents how on video calls they're still in Brazil. They're not here either. So they couldn't even be there for like physical emotional support, just for the video call best we could do. And something my dad said that kind of stuck with me on it was that he said, it is possible that God placed him here as a placeholder to keep your heart from getting distracted with just anybody. It, and I thought more on that, and I'm like, I don't know for sure that that's what happened. But I wouldn't be shocked if we got to heaven and we could ask God, like, oh, hey, was this a thing? And God said, well, I mean, it works that way.
Care. It's
Yeah,
funny how
we're gonna care.
we put a lot of stock on marriage and relationships, and then in heaven, there's not gonna be none of that anyway.
We're not gonna care. We're gonna be too
We're just
busy
gonna
with
be
better
with
things.
our beloved, our real love.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Okay, so this guy, no, I mean, it was, but in all of that, and then he left, and then the conversations were far and few between. At first, it was good, and then it was spread out, or how was it?
He almost as soon as he got there, I warned him before he went because he leans towards a depressive nature because he feels overwhelmed by things. And I warned him, do not close your friends and your community that you've made here off. You do not have a Christian community there. We are the Christian community. You need to keep talking to us, even when you do not feel like it. You need to reach out. And when he got there, I was not shocked that he basically completely shut everybody out. Because he was, and people asked, oh, have you heard from him? Have you heard? Because they figured if anybody would have, it would have been me. I'm like, I'm probably going to be the last person he talks to because I'm going to hold him accountable for it. That wasn't quite what I said, but I was thinking, I think I would be the last person, more because we were on a similar level of a deeper friendship of, I am the person that can hold him accountable in any way.
He started shutting people away. People
He stopped talking to people and was not doing well. And that was for quite a while. And he did that at the same time that one of my very dear friends back home was in a very serious accident. And she almost died. And I even messaged him because he was the closest friend I had at the time. I messaged him explaining, hey, I know you're in whatever kind of situation you are and that you're not talking to anybody. I need my friend. And there was no reply. He didn't even look at the message. No reply. And I said, I just need prayers because she might die and I won't get to see her again. Which, thank God, she is alive and I will get to see her when I go to Brazil at the end of this year. But God very much protected her. She was in a situation where God's the only way you can survive that kind of accident. It was a very severe car accident. He was not there in that moment, and all I needed was, I'm praying for you, I'm hearing you, you need to call. That's all I needed. I didn't need him to rehash anything regarding our relationship. I didn't need any of that, but I needed my friend. And in that moment, and at least in my view, in that moment, he broke that tie of friendship because he broke the trust that had been there. And once trust is damaged and broken, and in this case, in my view, it was completely burned down because that was such a vulnerable moment that other people that were not as close to me were giving me the support that I needed, and then the person that I thought I could count on no matter what essentially refused to, is what happened. You get to choose, even if you're depressed, you get to choose what you do. Um, which I understand the situations. I've been severely depressed before, but that abandonment is what happened, and that broke, in my mind, that broke any kind of interest and tie. Not because I no longer loved him, but because that was this is definitely not somebody I will ever consider again.
That shows God began to reveal his heart, his character in those moments. Because when you have a real friend, no matter what, no matter if you just got so upset with this person or had a fight or whatever, something bad happens, like you forget all of that. You're gonna be there. You're going to be there for that person. You're going to show love, care, and support. I think of people that I can call at 2 a.m. or that I can call when something bad happens, and they answer their phone. They show up, and that is so important. So when someone you were considering a life with him, and he's, for the lack of a better word, ghosting and not responding, and then something tragic happens, and like you think of him because he has been kind of your support throughout this couple of years, and then he doesn't even look at the message, he doesn't respond, he doesn't reach out. That was so painful. That's when you knew kind of the finality of things. And so time is the best revelator. It reveals character. It reveals, and I love that you found this out before any commitment or relationship took place. Yes, because people marry the bag, and they don't even look to see what's inside. They don't look to see like character, trustworthiness, love, their commitment. They don't look at all that. They marry this person, and then they begin to see the open bag of chips where they're like, oh shoot, this is not what I didn't think this person was like this. I didn't know this about him, or I didn't know this about her. And you fell in love with that bag, that outer exterior, or things that maybe that person allowed you to see only. But time reveals things, and prayer, God, you're reaching out to the Lord, so he's slowly working it out to where he's showing you. And so for you, that was a big revelation that this is not.
Part of what I think is very interesting as well on that, even that relationship as a whole, just as a learning kind of situation, aside from removing myself from the actual hurt of the time, when I look back on it, when I was dropping him off at the airport and driving back, there was two songs that played that I had heard a couple times before, but not a lot. It was Fires and one other one. And I had prayed, God, okay, Fires comes on again, because those one that to me spoke very much in a time of tragedy in my family that I considered to have been a tragedy. That song had played right when I was in the feels about some of what had happened within my family. And then I was hearing this song on my way back from, and when you have, this was like on Amazon Prime, it plays through the radio. It wasn't like on my playlist, it was the radio, the Christian pop or Christian something. So it was the radio, so it doesn't play the same songs. And I prayed to God on my way home, Lord, if I'm meant to let go of this and let go of it, allow the feelings to slowly ebb and die, because that you don't just stop loving someone. That's you don't just shut off. The feelings are still there, even if it like diminishes slowly. They don't just go away. And so I was like, if I'm supposed to let go of it and let this fade, play this song again before I get to my driveway. Right before I got to my driveway, it played again. And when I got into my driveway, it finished. And so even when I dropped him off, I knew at that time, okay, and I didn't cry that whole time when I got home. As soon as I pulled in, because that song finished, I was like, okay, God, I heard you. I did. I'll let it go. I'll let it fade. So God had already prepared me to start letting it fade. I intentionally did not text him as much because I was trying to separate. Okay, if we're not in a relationship of this kind, I'm gonna text you like I would any of my guy friends. And I even told him that before he left. I'm like, hey, just so you know we've been texting a lot, pretty much every day. I don't do that with just my guy friends. And you stated you want to just be my guy friend. So I'm not gonna text you every night. I'm not gonna answer late texts just because I don't think that's appropriate for just friends in our situation. And so I hadn't even texted him immediately when he got there. I was like, well, I'll give it some time, let him text me if he's ready to. Because I'm not his girlfriend, I'm not his fiance, I'm nothing like that. And then when I finally did try and reach out, no answer. I was like, oh, okay. He did the thing I did, specifically tried warning him not to. For his benefit, even. It wasn't even for ours, it was for his. And so God had already prepared me to not be as heartbroken over it. But what broke my heart was that he wasn't there as my friend.
Yeah.
That's what actually like fully broke my heart. Was that lack of friendship that had been so thoroughly given to me before, and then all of a sudden it's just taken and gone.
It's like a severing. It's like when God is in it, he just like rips that band-aid. He's just like, nope, this is not for you. And it's gonna be painful and it's gonna be hard to accept. But it becomes pretty evident. It becomes evident. And I love that, even though it is painful. I love that about the Lord. He's answered every single time I've had a question about an individual. Nope. And I'm like, oh! But it's what I asked for, and I have to remind myself, okay, it's okay, it's okay. All right. Then on the scene steps Morgan. We're going to talk about your husband. Let's talk about you and Morgan met and how God showed you green flags along the way. Let's talk about that. So, how choosing God's best, not your type, advances the mission of God. It is easier to serve and worship alongside Morgan. Even though you're both in like a working phase in your life right now, I'm sure you can already tell that there's peace and joy alongside him. So let's talk about how this guy Morgan stepped on the scene.
So I think that story's kind of a funny one because I had made the commitment of like I'm gonna like wait a whole year before even talking about a relationship with anybody, and I was fully ready to. I didn't make the commitment the same way that my guy friend had. I was like, I'm definitely not gonna search unless God like very clearly points towards something else. I'm not gonna search. So I was very careful with how I worded it, just because of what my dad had taught me. I'd be very careful about it.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad he instilled that in me, because a few months after he left and I dropped him at the airport, a few months after that, I was not interested. I wanted to let my heart heal. I wanted to take a step back from any romantic thoughts altogether. And my landlady was like, no, you haven't talked about that guy you were talking about and you're telling us about. I was like, he's still around. I was like, well, no, he's gone overseas, and I think that's pretty much done and over with at this point. I'm like, well, that's good. There's this young man at my church, and I really like him, and I think you will too. And she's a very, very sweet older lady. She's one of those people you cannot say no to. And I was like, in my mind, I obviously did not say it this way to her, but I was like, oh, I almost says my thoughts are almost, dear God, please no. I'm not in a position where I can actually like focus on somebody, because I was still healing. I've seen too many people get in and out of relationships. I was like, God, this isn't the time for that. Like, but you know what? Worst case scenario, this guy doesn't have my number. He technically knows where I live because he knows where she lives. But I was like, he doesn't have my number. Worst case scenario, I meet him and I don't want to date him. He doesn't have my number. There's no commitment. There's nothing like that. So I guess I'll just appease my landlady and tell her, sure, you can introduce us. Best outcome is we actually hit it off. Worst outcome is we're not even friends afterwards and never talk again. Which I mean, somebody you don't know, that doesn't really affect you, so it's fine. So I was like, okay. At yeah, at the church, because he went to her church, and at the church, she has him sit down, like, Morgan, sit down, sit down. He's like, oh no, do I have to bury a body? What did you do? Do you need help with something? He's like thinking through a million things that could have happened, and that this little lady needs help, and he's gonna have to help her hide a body, gonna have to get her an alibi or something, because she's so
What kind
somber.
of lady was
And
this?
and
My
she was
gosh, this little church lady sounds dangerous.
she's very sweet, but
She's very sweet.
she
That's
was so-
automatically what you thought.
she was so somber and so uncharacteristically somber because she didn't know if he was
like
going to
very
be interested.
serious.
Yeah, she was very serious, and so he's like, she's not like this. What's going on? So he thought something was wrong,
Okay.
and he was ready to help her with whatever it was. And then she's like, "You're not seeing anybody right now." It's like, "No." I was like, "Well, there's this young lady that I know, and I told her all about you, and she really wants to meet you." He's like, "Oh no!" And in his mind, going, "Oh dear Lord, what has she told this girl? What has she told this person? I'm not looking for anybody. This isn't the right time." She had just tried, like a few months prior, setting him up with her granddaughter, and that had not worked. Like they did not click. They were not a thing. So that's how much she liked him, though, is that she wanted him
She
in
wanted
her
to be the
family.
matchmaker in his life. Okay.
Well, no, but like she wanted him in her family. Like the reason she tried getting the granddaughter together with him is because she really liked him and wanted him as a grandson.
And you were like family to her, the closest
And that was the next best thing, I guess, because that didn't work out. She's like, well, if my granddaughter's not going to take him, you know, somebody else is good. She's like, he needs somebody. Like, he's a really nice young man. He needs somebody. And so he's there thinking she's told me all about him. All she said is, this is the nice young man at my church. And I think you're like, that's all I knew about him. I didn't even know his name. All I knew was that he was a nice young man from her church. But apparently she told me all about him. And so he's there thinking I know all about him. And we go to their church cookout. That was like, I think it was 2 weeks after she had mentioned it. And she wanted to make sure that everybody actually wanted to meet, you know. And our first meeting was at this very public, it was a church gathering. I'd never been to that church either, so I didn't know anybody except for my landlady, which is fine. But they were having hot dogs and stuff, and he was like playing. When I first got there, because I had to get there after work, because I was in a new job.
Please tell me you weren't wearing your uniform from work.
I was not. I changed clothes.
Thank God. Okay.
But I did have the like lanyard key still
Oh my
on.
gosh.
So I had the lanyard key, which him being a guy, I thought that was actually a necklace, and that was just my fashion style. That I just liked the lanyard necklace.
Okay. So you show up. And you get straight out of work, and then where's
so when I first get there, he's playing the game, so we can't be introduced because they're in the middle of a volleyball game. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get me some food, sit down, talk a little bit with my landlady, and get to chat with some of the people that are there. Apparently, I was talking to his sister. I did not know that at first, and she's like, "Oh, hey, are you the girl that's here to talk to my brother?" I'm like, I don't know, am I? And I mean, I liked her. I was getting along well. I actually met her before because she had been at my landlady's house with her little baby, and they so I'd like actually been introduced. I just didn't know that they were siblings. But when he was done playing, he came over, he introduced himself, and as we started talking, we had a lot of things in common, like a scary amount of things in common. Like even we ended up talking about like places. If money wasn't a question, where would we go? Like visit countries. We had the exact same top 3 countries.
You were talking about that first time you met him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we talked about a lot. That first time we met, we just clicked immediately, and we had a lot in common. Got along really well. But one of the first things I noticed as we're talking is his little 1-year-old niece comes over, starts handing him things, as a baby niece does. And he just keeps playing with her while he's talking to me, but he's then including her, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That's special. That's
different. I like that. That's good. Because because I'm very much a big proponent of you've got to be multi-generational in your churches, in your families. Kids are a thing, and they're not. Yes, they cause distractions, and yes, they cause noise, and sometimes they're not the most convenient. But they're a blessing. That is who we're supposed to teach and raise up. And ultimately, I want to be a mother, and I want kids, and I want somebody that will want my kids.
I think that's so good and that's so wise that you were looking at someone and how they interact with children. I think that to me is something that's very important as well. Like when I look at any individual, how are they around children? Because that reveals a lot. So I'm glad that you were seeing that.
Yeah, because even when we were talking, I was like, okay, well, I guess I've got a friend out of this now. But I wasn't even interested in dating until I saw him interacting with her. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not against learning if maybe we might date. And so we ended up talking. We talked for like 2 hours straight that night.
Nice, yes.
And I had forgotten my phone in the car, so I couldn't ask. I didn't have anything to write his number down with, so I was like, well, I actually do one. So as we're picking everything up, I walk as slowly as I can back to my car. I already don't walk all that fast. I have spine issues, so I do not walk that fast to begin with. But he runs up because he had started helping other people. He's like, oh no, where'd you go? He runs up to catch up to me.
So you were walking slow to your car, hoping that he would come and say bye.
And I was like, and my plan, well, he did not know this because he's not a mind reader, but my plan was, okay, I'm going to walk slowly. Hopefully he's going to come after me and he has his phone and he can ask for my number. But if not, I'm going to grab my phone and I'm coming back and I'm asking for his.
Okay.
So that was my plan.
Okay.
I wasn't going to leave without the guy's number because I was like, oh, wait, no, I actually kind of like him. He seems nice.
Yeah.
So I had like this whole plan in place, but he runs up, not knowing that I wasn't just going to leave. And he was like, well, you maybe want to see each other again? It's like, he was trying to ask me out, like, hey, do you want to see me again? But he goes and says, so am I going to see you again? He wasn't sure what to say. I was like, well, yeah, if you text me. He's like, well,
actually, we're going to be married. Can I have your number?
like, well, no, I mean, if you just let me know where we're going, sure, just let me know when next time we'll have to get our schedules together so we can go somewhere. I hope so. Like, I hope I'll see you again. Yeah. And so I give him my number and I have him just go ahead and text me with your name so that I know who it is. And then I'll text you when I get back. I'll text you because I don't have my phone on me. And then our first date that we went on officially, we went to Freddy's.
I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, we went to.
I love when my friends share dates. That's all I am. The person the keeper of all the dates of people sharing their date stories with me. That's awesome. Okay.
So yeah, we went at 7. Like he picked me up slightly before 7, and we went to be there. And I think we got there right at 7. So we were there from 7 until they closed. We didn't even realize, and the staff was super nice. They're like, not even like pushing us out. I guess they realized we were on a first date or something, and they thought they didn't want to interrupt it or anything, and we kind of felt a little bit bad. We're like, we're so sorry. So we got up as soon as we noticed that they were clean. We're like, oh, we're so sorry. We're gonna go ahead and go. But then he went to drop me off, and we then kept talking in the car after I was dropped off. So I didn't even go back inside until after midnight.
That's a super good sign, though.
Yeah, we talked so long, and then we had more to talk, and that's because we were talking on the drive home as well. So like we just had a lot in common, and a lot of just, and we were both. A lot of it was even sharing what we wanted in a relationship, what we wanted in future partner, and
right away you started having courageous conversations about the future, about everything. I think communication is like number one. Like it's so important. And so that's a common factor that I hear as people when they meet their spouse or someone that's gonna be in their life for a long time is these immediately when they meet or the times as they're getting to know each other, the long conversations, the long time communicating. I think it's beautiful. I think it's so good. Communication is so important. And so that is, and it reveals someone's intention. They're not no mixed signals, no like, I want to be in your presence, I want to hear you, I want to talk to you. And I think that's so good. So these things were happening. Okay.
We had conversations about marriage before we were even 100% sure we were even going to date.
Yeah.
Before we were officially boyfriend and girlfriend, we talked about what marriage looked like.
That's awesome.
Because it naturally came up in our conversation.
Yes, and it should. It's the most natural thing.
And we were both, and we ended up, he was telling one of I think this was our second or third date. He's like, so my family's, so we were going to his niece's birthday, and he's like, well, my family's asking where my girlfriend is at. Like, how do you want me to introduce you when we go there? Like, do you want me to introduce you as my girlfriend, or do you want me to? Because I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I don't want to push it onto you. And I was like, yeah, I'm your girlfriend.
Aww.
You can introduce me as your girlfriend because that's what I am.
And it's, it's this lingo too, because as I'm going to the scriptures, I told you I was kind of wrestling with all this, like, what is the in between? Because the Bible doesn't talk about dating, the Bible doesn't talk about girlfriend, boyfriend, and then obviously like our age difference now, as a woman in my 40s, like the whole thing of girlfriend, boyfriend, like that's so high school. That's the way I see it in my mind. But it's a position. We live in this world that gives those kind of titles, and it's a position where he's placing you, and so he was being clear. I think that's the most important thing to take away from it, is that he wanted to be clear in his intentions. Like, what are we? He's defining the relationship.
Making sure we were on the same page on it as well.
Yes, that is so good.
Yeah, and even like you were saying about the dating, how it's not in the Bible. It's not in the Bible because typically in that culture, that context, that most marriages would have been arranged in some fashion. But also, even if they weren't, there would have been what would have been called courtship, and it probably was not like a long day. Like, people will tell me, "Oh, we've been dating for 5 years." I'm like, "No, where's the ring? Why are you dating this long?"
You are fooled.
It's like, why are you dating this long?
No.
That's not that leads you to do all sorts of things you shouldn't do. That's why you get people that move in, that make big purchases together before they're married, is because they've been dating so long they forget that there is something different and better, and they don't want to commit to it. And what I tell people is, listen, if you don't know within a year of dating this person, if you're not sure if you want to commit or not, that means no. That means this isn't the person for you, or not the time for it. It could be the person, but you guys aren't in a spot where that's what you need. And that's okay, but you can't just lead each other on, because that's not healthy. He and I, we knew we were going to get married in 2 weeks into our relationship. We both said, yeah, I'm going to marry you. And we would have gotten married earlier, but we were trying. He wanted to do the right thing by my parents, and he wanted to actually like meet them in person. He had met them through video chat, because I'd been telling him, again, very open with my family. I had been telling him, like, hey, that date went really well. We're actually talking, and I like how he acts with his niece, and how he acts with his sisters, and how he treats his mom. I was very glad to meet his family pretty early on. He was worried I didn't want to go on a date where it was his niece's birthday, because it would have been his whole family. I was like, no, I want to go. And my thought was, I'm going to see how he treats he has 2 sisters, he has a mother. Yes. I'm going to see how he treats them.
That's wisdom.
And that was very much a intentional, I want this date. This is, also it was bowling, okay? Who doesn't want to go bowling? And this bowling place has bowling shoes.
Oh,
the bowling place I had been to before did not, and I had seen them in the movies, and I was so excited.
What kind of place did you go to that doesn't have
In
bowling shoes?
Brazil, they don't.
Did you go barefooted?
No, you just wear your regular shoes.
Oh, and you went there for?
I guess.
Right. Okay.
They just didn't have the bowling, and so I would see them in the American movies, and I was. His family thought it was the greatest thing, that I was so excited about the bowling shoes. I took a picture of the shoes on my feet. I was so excited to nerd. I was like, this is just like American movies. It's part of American culture.
Meanwhile, I was trying to wear my boots bowling, and everybody was so mad at me. You gotta put the bowling shoes.
But like for me, that was a very intentional. No, I want that date very early on of meeting your family, because it's possible
I mean, like, check, check, check. Like, not that, like, it's green flag after green flag of seeing, oh, this man is respectful. This man wants to be in my presence. This man wants to communicate and desires to communicate with me and is communicating well and is communicating about things that are important, that matter to my future. And he's being clear about the relationship. And now he's inserting you into his family. Come, I want you to meet my family. All these are super good things. That's what a man is supposed to do. That's what a man who has good intentions, who desires you to be in his future would do. Okay.
And I think there's also something I think is even better. The date after that was the one where I knew, because I think it was the day after we were going on a date, just the two of us. And because he wanted to do things right, he wanted to make sure he properly asked me to be his girlfriend and properly like formalized it. When he came to pick me up for our just us date, he brought me a bouquet of flowers. When I saw those flowers, I was like, oh, this is the man I'm gonna marry. The reason being,
oh my gosh, I remember this. This is so good. Go.
Yes, when I was in my 20s, I realized, this was after I moved to the US, but I realized no man, aside from my dad or my brothers or a relative of some sort, very close, basically a brother, had given me flowers before. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. What are the odds of that I had never received flowers, even in my teenage years, from a guy? And I was like, okay, you know what? I prayed to God. I said, God, keep it that way. Because I love flowers. I absolutely love flowers. It's like, God, keep it that way so that when my husband comes around, he can bring me flowers and I will know he's my husband. I had forgotten about that for most of the time I was even talking with the other guy. And I had kind of forgotten that I had made that prayer and literally asked for a sign. Again, guys, be careful about what you ask for. And don't forget it when you do.
Yes.
And I had thought, I did remember it like at the tail end of like, I had to ask for a sign. I guess God just said no or whatever. Like when I was in the middle, I was like, God must have just said no to my sign. I didn't think he just didn't answer it. I just figured God must have said no. That's why I'm talking. That's why this gentleman came back into my life. That's why we're talking again.
Wow.
And then on like our third or fourth date, there comes Morgan, my now husband. He brings me this bouquet of flowers, and I was like, I just started like, well, why are you smiling so much? I'm like, you'll know when.
Yes.
You'll know in the future. I'm not telling you just now. You'll know. And so I knew by the third or fourth date that he was my husband, because I remembered, wait, this was the specific sign I asked for from God. And he did not know about it. He didn't know that was even a thing. And that was what he just naturally did. He's like, well, do you want to be my girlfriend?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you just asked me to marry you, and yes.
Yes.
So I think that part of our story, I really enjoyed that.
Beautiful.
And I love that. Remember the things you ask for as signs, because God does use those.
Because it's the prayers, and then you realize and you see prayers are getting answered, prayers are getting fulfilled. God is leading you. And sometimes imagine if you had missed this opportunity because you were stuck on this other guy and you're like, no, I don't need to meet anyone. No, or even gone and been like rude to him because you were just thinking about this other guy. So it's just like, okay, God is leading us. He leads us and he guides us when you allow him to, and he wants good for us. And so I love this. I love that. When is the first time you how long in the relationship till you got him to the parking lot with Jesus Dogs, the street outreach?
I think I told him about it within the first few weeks of dating. And I'm like, hey, by the way, I do this ministry on Fridays, and that's why I can't go out on Fridays, because I do this. I go to Bible study, and then on the last Friday we do food outreach. There's going to be one this upcoming month. Do you want to join me? Like, I was like, hey, it's okay if you don't. I know it's a big thing. It's not something you're used to. But like this is part of what I do. And I was in a sense kind of testing him a little bit, even though we're already dating. Well, I want to do ministry. This is the ministry I currently work with. Is he willing to support me in it? And he came that very next one.
He showed
up,
guys.
and
You don't understand. I love Rebecca, sweet girl, super protective. Okay, I mean, like I see this man come, this guy come, and he's got this huge truck, and he's coming, and immediately I'm like, I wanted to guard her. I'm like, oh no, how am I gonna get rid of this guy? Like, I don't want her messing with her. All these thoughts, and then, um, man, I saw all of these traits right away. His servant's heart, his generosity, the way he treated you, the way he treated people in the street, the homeless people. I was just like, wow, this guy is top notch. And then when something would go wrong, I think one time we ran out of hot dogs or something. He ran to get more. My tent busted. And I'm like, oh shoot. He goes, don't worry, I'm gonna buy another one. I'm like, okay, you don't have to do that. And I thought it was ridiculous because he's gonna forget or whatever. It's gonna be a month. Nope. Sure enough, he comes with a brand new tent. And
yeah, he felt like he broke it.
oh my
He
gosh.
thought he broke
But
it.
I mean, my tent was so old. It was just a matter of time. Like, he just happened to be the last one touching it.
Yeah, I told him
So I
that.
knew in my mind, I'm like, shoot, I need to get a new tent. He's like, man, because there are people that will say that. Oh, I'll help you with this other. And I already know, like, I'm either never going to see them again, or they're not going to come through. They'll forget. It's not important. It's not a big deal. And this guy kept his commitment and did it. And I mean, he was just faithful. He was all of these beautiful things that I began to see. And I'm like, and then he started talking to me about how much he cared for you. He started talking to me about, you know, I actually can see our children running around here. I actually can see having children with this woman. I love her. I mean, just letting me know, because I think he felt like I have my eyes on him. I don't know about him, and just letting me know these things. And I just thought it was just like, man, this is a man. There are men childs walking around. I've seen men in their 40s that are not nearly as mature as as him. And you see the difference between a man and a mature man, and then someone who's still in their feelings, still has tantrums, still very selfish, self-centered, is not ready, clearly not ready for a relationship, clearly not ready to be selfless for someone else, to die for someone. I heard someone say, if you really love a woman, you have to think in 5 years when she turns around to crucify you, you're still going to lay down your life for her. That ability, because you are going to die for this person. I'm signing up to die for this woman. Just like Jesus loves the bride, the church, he's going to die for her. He died, he came for the bride. He came for the bride while we had our hands lifted towards him, where we hated him, where we said, crucify him. He died for that bride. He died for that church. And that is like the level of love and commitment that I saw in this man. And it was just a beautiful thing. And then I saw the progression of your relationship in a very healthy, godly way. And then, how beautiful everything was and how much he adored you. I went to your wedding and he adored you. I'm like, because I think people were surrounding you taking pictures. I'm like, Morgan, she's taking pictures without you. He's just looking at you like, yeah, it's okay. And he's just smiling from ear to ear. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's just beautiful how God took care of you. But it's your faithfulness and your maturity and your wisdom. You are not out there like, oh, I want a man, I want a guy. I stuck on this guy over here who broke your heart, and maybe you could have easily just gone and got another date, or maybe gotten bitter. No, every step of the way you were relying on the Lord. And God was working it all out. He was already working it out. He goes before us and we don't see it. And we don't see it. So, okay, we're gonna end this conversation. I want you to talk. What advice would you leave for someone who may find love unexpectedly and they're trying to find certainty in it. They're trying to hear God in this. And also maybe those stuck in loving someone riddled with red flags. How do they lead their heart to truth so that they're not living in deception? That is not part of their story and they don't get stuck there for years. So advice maybe to these individuals, who may be walking and realizing, hey, there's this man in front of me or this woman in front of me with green flags, or I'm stuck over here with a man with red flags. They kind of like talk into that perspective.
I think on that, let yourself be wrong and cry and have made a mistake for however many years it's been, especially if you're already in a relationship with somebody that is all the red flags, you know it, people around you are probably telling you this isn't good, this isn't good. If you're in a bad relationship, typically you've been told about it. It's not always, but often your friends, your family, somebody has told you about it. You've told yourself about it. Let yourself be wrong. Let yourself have lost whatever time it was. Grieve over it. Let it be something you grieve over. Don't get stuck on, well, if I admit it, then I've lost all of this. Like, you've already lost it. Let it go. And by doing that, even when I was still crying over this other man, I cried. It wasn't a tearless, painless prayers that I prayed. It was very much painful I feel like I'm losing this person in a sense. And literally there were prayers that I had with God when I was wrestling with him over my relationship with that man, where I was basically prostrate on the ground crying in desperate tears of, I don't want to lose this because this feels like it's supposed to be right, like it's supposed to be the good thing, like this is where this is supposed to go, I think. And I think that made a difference in how I continued on in the relationship. Was I let myself be vulnerable. I let myself grieve over the potential loss of it, over the potential, okay, what, God, you seem to be pointing me somewhere else. Why? How dare you, and why? God can take it. Be mad. Let him. He'll hear it. Let yourself express yourself and find people that you can talk with and have them pray for you. Pray for you, pray for whoever you're in a relationship with. Do not do it by yourself. No relationship is solely isolated by itself. You have to have God as the center for it to work. And with God as the center, that means you come with a bonus family. A very imperfect family, but a family that you can go to and say, hey, you don't even have to tell me to say, hey, we've got some stuff going on. Please pray for us. Like, there are things that I don't just share willy-nilly with just any Christian. But I can say to just about anybody that's in our circle that is a Christian, I can say, hey, Morgan and I are having some things we're going through. Would you pray for this? Or, hey, we're talking about some things, not even disclosing it. God knows. Just pray for us. You don't need to know. You don't even have to go into details. Find somebody you can go into details with, but have multiple people that are praying for you, even generically, because I think it's James 5 talks about confessing your sins to each other. Yes. Because the prayer of the righteous is strong and effective. And that goes for this as well. Whether it's a sinful relationship or if it's not, it's confess whatever it is you need to confess, whether it's you've done something wrong in the relationship, if it's you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, you don't know how to interact, maybe reacted poorly to what the other person did, and you've done that, or you just need advice on it, go to the Lord. Go to your brothers and sisters in Christ. Find somebody you can trust with more of the details so they can specifically pray to you, there is a level of letting go that only happens. God will be there regardless of if you confess to, like if I never confess to Gio anything at all or to anybody else, God would still be there, but there's a level of release when whatever it is in the light.
Hallelujah.
Darkness thrives on people not knowing things, and darkness, whether it was from something you did wrong, something that somebody else did wrong, it's darkness brings you down, and if things are not in the light, they will only bring you down. So have somebody that you can go to that you know they're not going to spread it around, they're not going to gossip about it, and be careful about who you tell what to, because there are very even the letters Paul wrote, some of it was about gossips in the church. Like these, you do have to be careful about who you're talking to, because it is an imperfect family, but they're there for a reason. They're there to pray and encourage you. And I would like to encourage you in seeking out prayer from others, not just your prayers, but prayers from others. So it is beneficial. I know my family was praying for me the whole time. I know my friends in Brazil were praying for me the whole time, because I specifically asked, like, hey, I'm meeting this new guy, just be praying over this, because this wasn't what I was even considering. So just pray that there's clarity, there's communication. God provided clarity and communication, and things just worked out more perfectly than we could have. Like, there's no way either of us could have planned the way this laid out so well, and how our interests aligned, but also our overall goals aligned. So
and other people will notice and confirm.
Yeah, just like with people, usually you've probably heard it if you're in a bad one. You'll hear it if you're in a good one. People will be like, oh, I wish I had a girlfriend or boyfriend that was like that. My husband opens every single door for me, just about. I've had people say, like, we've had, like, been in a restaurant, had older people looking at us and just thinking we're the cutest thing ever, because he's holding on to some chivalry values that aren't popular anymore. Unfortunately, they're not. There's a lot of reasons for it that we don't really go into, but people will notice when somebody's treating you exceptionally well. They will notice if they're treating you exceptionally poorly. These are things people notice, especially the people that care about you. They'll say it. They'll bring it up. So if your family's around saying, "Hey, this guy is really nice and he's taking good care of you," it probably means he is, more than likely. Or that, hey, she's treating you. She's appreciating what you're doing. She's respecting you. Because men and women do need different things. And both of them come out of love, but they look a little different. Men typically need more knowing that they're appreciated and respected, and that comes from love. And then women tend to need the more emotional side of, I need to hear you say I love you. I need to have some of the ushy-gushy stuff, which again comes from love. So it's all based in love, but it's different needs that men and women have, and just being aware of what your needs are and what the other person's needs are, and just ask and tell them, Morgan cannot read my mind. Now he knows me well enough that he knows some things that I would naturally need. But there was a lot, especially when we were first dating, there's a lot that, like, I all of a sudden, like, flinch sometimes when I'm walking, because all of a sudden I'm in severe pain from my, like, hip and leg. He wouldn't have known that was what was going on, because he was holding my hand. He thought he squeezed my hand too hard. And I just had to explain, yeah, I've got some spine issues, and right now there's just this twinge. I cannot take another step at the moment. And he was like, oh, okay, so let's wait. Let's just stop. Do you need me to pick you up? What do you need? And he was very curious, like, how do I help you? And because he had no way of knowing that that's what the issue was, because it's not something you can see. And so from there, he's now able to know, okay, when that happens, we just need to stop for a little bit, and it'll sometimes takes longer than other, but eventually it'll go away and it'll be fine. And then I can keep walking. And it's just being mindful of your needs and his needs and communicating it, and then having people that will pray over you.
Hallelujah. Hope you learn from this and you glean as much as you can as you move forward in relationships or your journey being unmatched. Remember, being unmatched is not a punishment. And being matched is not the grand prize. Both are hard. Both are hard. Choose your hard and stay close to Jesus because no one else will come close. I think if there was ever a man that I would do life with in covenant, my love for him, no matter how much or how great he was, how much I loved him, would not compare to the love I have for my beloved, to the love I have for Jesus. Like, it wouldn't even compare. So that's who we truly love. That is our beloved. And run after him. Chase after Jesus. That's who we should be running after and chasing after him. And these things will become clear as we're pressing into Jesus. He will guide us. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much. I'm putting my foot on her thigh. Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you guys for listening. I really pray that this was encouraging. I'm Gio and I'm unmatched. Whoop, 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 whoop. We did it, Rebecca! Yay! Look at you, girl. Was it 5 hours?
It was 3.
Wow. And nothing felt like it didn't belong. Everything flowed and yeah, this is good. I'm glad. Look at guys. I'm nice. You did very well. Oh, we gotta do a quick picture. Oh shoot.
I used to like in person talking to people and sharing stories and stuff, but not so much the lens.
So Morgan will be able to see the whole thing. We'll be able to hear the whole thing. Okay, let me picture. I'll do it with this phone. Oh, we're done. Benito.